Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 1. Now let's start the fanfic. With the end of the Third Great Shinobi War, the 5 great nations, Konoha, Kumo, Iwa, Suna, and Kiri. Peace finally reigned over the lands, but of course not with the dangers that continuously lurk in the shadows. But for now, currently the newly named Yodaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, can be seen with some of the male shinobi from Konoha. Especially his sensei Jiraiya, the Toad Sage. Come on Minato. Now's the time to celebrate. We need to go drinking. Minato chuckled lightly as he looked to his sensei. Sensei, I'm no good when it comes to alcohol, besides I'll end up dragging you back home. Hokage-sama has a point there, Jiraiya-sama. I suggest it wouldn't be a wise idea to do so. Jiraiya and Minato looked towards Fugaku, who had a rather light-hearted smile on his face. I think Fugaku has got a point, besides you're the only one who would get that wasted. Everyone then turned to another voice which belonged to Hiashi Hyuga, looking to them with a rather unnerved look on his face. Not only that, but Hokage-sama needs to keep up a good public image too. Jiraiya let out a long sigh and stuck his tongue out. Bah! You brats are no fun. Hemp. Well, even maybe so, who knows, maybe you can get lucky tonight, Minato. Find yourself a nice lady friend. Fugaku looked to Jiraiya confused. Jiraiya-sama, as much I know what type of person you are. I think you would have some respect for Hokage-sama. He isn't going to see some random woman other than Kushina. Indeed, Hokage-sama has been quite close to her ever since they were kids. Working with Hokage-sama after him being promoted to Jonin. I don't think he's the type of person. Hiashi looked to Jiraiya with a rather surprised look on his face. Surely Jiraiya had better respect and understanding of his prized student than that. Jiraiya smirked as he looked to Minato, to which Minato only sighed. Jiraiya-sama isn't entirely wrong. Once Kakashi was put into the Anbu. Soon after, Kushina also decided to join as well. She became a captain and Kakashi followed her into her platoon. Hiashi looked at Minato surprised. Really? I remember you two being quite sweet on one another. What happened? Fugaku even looked towards his best friend's direction, confused, wanting an answer. Well, I tried talking to Kushina about getting married and having some kids. Minato looked away nervously with a sweat on his forehead, but she didn't like the idea of moving too fast and wanted to work on her shinobi career. Which, I don't entirely blame her. Ever since then she tends to keep busy. I don't see her all too often anymore. Minato said with a rather depressed tone in his voice. Jiraiya quickly wrapped his arm around Minato's shoulder. Come on, kid. Brighten up. I'm sure we can find a few cuties at some bars around here. Come now. Minato looked towards Fugaku and Hiashi with a sweat drop on his forehead. Thanks for at least accompanying us. You two don't have to stay if you don't want to. Fugaku nodded his head. I appreciate it, and I at least enjoyed the company. Alas, but if I keep Mikoto waiting any longer, I'm afraid I'll have to sleep on the couch tonight. Fugaku waved as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Indeed. Good luck, Hokage-sama. If you need anything, just let me know. Hiashi left in the similar matter of how Fugaku left, with a swirl of leaves left where he once stood. Like that, one of the legendary Sannin and the Yodaime Hokage made their way into one of the many bars in Konoha. Master and student walked into the bar, and the two recognized a certain blonde-haired kunoichi at the bar. Tsunade-sama, what are you doing here? Tsunade, recognizing said voice, turned her head to see Jiraiya and Minato. Though Jiraiya had a stupid perverted grin on his face, Minato. The hell are you two doing here? Jiraiya-sama, Hokage-sama. The two then turned their heads to see Hitomi Hyuga, said surprised, and then Mikoto Uchiha walked up next to Hitomi. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow mighty confused. Oi, what is going on here? Just then Mikoto and Hitomi quickly moved up to Jiraiya grabbing his shoulders. Come on, we're leaving. What? Hey, wait, are you going to do? Before Jiraiya could finish, Hitomi shot a gentle fist strike at his stomach knocking him out. Hokage-sama, Tsunade-sama, please enjoy yourselves. Mikoto giggled as she walked out of the bar dragging an unconscious Jiraiya whose head hit the door frame on the way out. Minato flinched seeing that. He knew Jiraiya was going to feel that in the morning. Tsunade with a tint of pink on her cheeks sighed as she turned back to the bartender. Of course, so Fugaku, Hiashi, Mikoto, and Hitomi were up to this. Damn them. Minato's eyes widened rather surprised, but now understanding what was going on. Minato made his way over to the bar and chuckled. I did not expect Fugaku and Hiashi to do something like this. Tsunade turned to Minato narrowing her eyes while raising an eyebrow. So, they didn't tell Jiraiya about this blind date thing. I only agreed to do this because I lost a bet to Hitomi and Mikoto. Okay. Tsunade growled as she slammed her fist on the bar counter. Minato chuckled nervously. Well, isn't that something? Those two encouraged me to do this. Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Oh, wait, aren't you seeing Kushina? I thought you two were close. Minato sighed as he shook his head. Things didn't work out. I wanted to get married and have a family. She didn't want that. She wanted to focus on her shinobi career. Since then, she's driven herself into being the Anbu captain. I hardly ever see her. If it's for anything, it's a mission debrief, and she leaves. Tsunade, rather surprised by this, nods her head. Oi, bartender, fire sake for two. Coming right up, Tsunade-sama. Minato chuckled as he turned to Tsunade. She wasn't too far away from age. So, she might as well entertain the thought of seeing who Minato was like. Of course, for a chance to there be anything else afterward. It would be very hard to even say, only because after all she had yet to find anyone to love. Backquote. 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 Few hours later and some drinks later, Tsunade could be seen taking a large slug of sake from her cup. Ah. Nothing beats like having some good old sake. Am I right, Hokage-sama? Minato taking another sip, not as hammered as Tsunade was still tipsy, nodded his head. After everything, yeah it does. I am curious though, how are you holding up? Tsunade sighed, placing a hand on her head. Seeing Hitomi and Mikoto happy, makes me rather envious of them. Tsunade slammed her hand on the bar table. Why can't I land a man myself? I think I'm rather good looking and could land a good man. Minato nodded his head, agreeing with her statement. What about Jiraiya-sensei? I know he's loved you for a while. Tsunade blushed deepened as she poured herself another cup, slugging it back down her throat. Ah. Tsunade stared at her now empty cup. Hesh, always been Thor for May. Buat I can't see him anything more teeth on a ba baka ototo. Tsunade then looked to Minato as she looked at him with interest. Be bout, yo on the other hand, aren't bad yourself. Tsunade poured another drink for Minato and another for herself. The two both slugged it back as Minato said, ah. Yep, that hit, they spat. Minato and Tsunade both slammed their sake cups down. Why ya na what tea Tsunade, ha about a swing at me. Maybe we were made for one another. Minato added, to which Tsunade looked to him, narrowing both eyes at him. After a moment of thinking, Tsunade smirked. Swir. Way not. Let's hod buck to yours place. Thon. I can really show ya what a real kunoichi is like. Soon the two got up from their seats, paying the bartender, and left towards Minato's apartment. Backquote. 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 With Hitomi and Mikoto. You think it'll work? Hitomi looked to Mikoto. I think it will. I mean what's best for two individuals with broken hearts. Mikoto looked to her best friend. I think they'll be okay, Tsunade-sama and Hokage-sama, as long as we've known one another. I'm sure they could give one another a chance. Though, Hitomi placed a hand on her cheek. I can't help but feel a bit bad for Kushina. I mean they were sweet on one another for a while. Mikoto shook her head and let a sigh out. That was her choice to continue her career as a shinobi. There is nothing more we can do. Besides, Kushina would understand that people need to move on, including previous boyfriends and friends. Hitomi nodded her head too. Kushina had her chance, and Tsunade is long overdue with a date. We're all friends, and we all look out for one another. Hitomi then looked to the unconscious Jiraiya, which reminds me, what are you guys doing with him? Mikoto shrugs her shoulders. Who cares? Dump him by the trash, he'll be fine. Also, did we even note the age difference between the two? Hitomi looked to the Uchiha matriarch a little worried. You're looking too much into it, Hitomi. Besides, they're both responsible adults. Well, maybe when Tsunade-sama isn't gambling, but what could be worse? Mikoto then grabbed Jiraiya's unconscious body, using a bit of chakra, tossed him into the trash cans. Backquote. 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 Next day, Minato's house. The next morning, Minato slowly opened his eyes to find himself flat on his back. Minato recognized his ceiling and blankets. He let a sigh out as he looked down to see himself, still groggily and tired. Minato didn't think too much like it and rolled over to go back to sleep. The war's over, I can sleep more, I'm Hokage. Minato shot up from his bed, sitting up in shock and looking around his room. His eyes quickly darted around his room to his alarm clock. Thankfully it said 7:40 a.m. He needs to be at the office by 9 a.m. Sitting up, Minato swung his legs over the side of the bed. Geez, this is the last time I go drinking with, wait, wasn't it with Jiraiya-sensei? Minato tried to remember what happened until he heard a moan off to the side. Minato turned his head and saw a bump on the bed. Leaning closer towards the headframe of the bed, he sees a mop of blonde hair. Minato's eyes widened as the back of the head soon rolled to face him, and he saw the sleeping face of none other than Tsunade Senju. Whoa, wait, oh no. How in the world did I? Oh Kami. Minato froze and thought for a moment as he remembered back to the other night. His face flushed, remembering the rather interesting acts of fun they did. Especially the nurse outfit that Tsunade had ready for some reason. Before anything else could happen, Minato went ahead and moved over to some clothing. He quickly slipped them on before the last of the Senju clan woke up. As right on K, the said woman began to stir when Minato went ahead and decided to sit on the bed. Minato waited in anticipation as Tsunade opened her eyes and slowly sat up. Tsunade opened her eyes, not recognizing the area around her, the bed, sheets, blankets, pillows, and even the wall she was staring at. Tsunade slowly sat up in bed, not realizing she was in her birthday suit. Seeing Minato sitting on the foot of the bed waving to her was rather scared. Tsunade looked at Minato as a blush crept up to her face. Tsunade's mind began to reprocess everything that happened when she went to the bar last night. She also made sure to bring up the blankets to keep her modesty. Tsunade looked at Minato. She was hoping nothing would ever be talked about. Minato was hoping he'd live to see the next 10 minutes of his life. Tsunade narrowed her eyes at Minato and frowned. As much as I want to pound you. Tsunade froze at that statement as Minato blushed brighter again. Correction, as much as I wanna murder you, I won't. Tsunade looked away from Minato. I'll admit, my suggestion of a drinking game last night didn't go the way I thought it would. Minato only nodded his head, agreeing with the Senju. Mainly he didn't want to get his face smashed in. We will never speak of this, understand? Tsunade looked to Minato with her eyes with a raging fire, because if I catch wind that pervert or even anyone found out. Tsunade raised her fist up as Minato saw visible chakra surrounding her fist. I will personally make sure you never will be able actively be a dutiful leader of Konoha and father, is that clear? Crystal. Good. Tsunade grabbed her clothes. She then quickly shushined out of his room. Minato fell onto his bed, but once he did, he fell into a crack on his bed. Minato quickly got up and found his bed was split into two. Minato deadpanned seeing Tsunade break his bed before leaving. Did we go at it that hard we broke the bed? Minato couldn't recall them ever breaking the bed during their night together. Though once the threatening look of Tsunade came back into his mind. Minato decided to stop dawdling on it and move on. He did not want to think too much about it, because this is Tsunade. She could catch wind of anything thinking about her in a perverted way. She'd personally beat the living shit out of anyone. Minato decided to go eat and get ready for the day. He went to go take a shower. After some time, once he was ready to leave, Minato came walking out of his house and began to make his way towards the Hokage Tower. Just then he saw Jiraiya, mourning Minato. Man, I must have drunk so much that I passed out. Found myself by the bar's trash bin this morning. Also, currently my wallet is missing. Well anyways, what the hell man? Why'd you leave me? Minato was now unsure of how to answer his sensei. Well, sensei, Before Minato could continue, Jiraiya looked at his student confused until he noticed something. Jiraiya walked up closer to Minato and moved the collar of his jacket to the right. Jiraiya's eyes widen. Whoa. What? Minato. A hickey. Minato began to panic. Wait. Sense. Minato began to look towards his neck with worry in his own eyes. Jiraiya also took a sniff from Minato too. It's faint but I can smell perfume on you. Jiraiya's eyes widen in excitement. Sensei, I can explain. Minato was cut off by Jiraiya again. What need is there to explain about? Minato felt his stomach drop. You got lucky last night, Minato. Never mind, Minato felt better now. I need to know the details. Minato chuckled as he held his hand up. Could we maybe not in the middle of the street in the morning? Come on, Minato. I need to know how it was. Was she a moaner, screamer, squirter? Did she like to play dress up? Did you use any of the positions in my stories? Come on, kid, I need to know. Wait, more importantly, did she have big? Did the curtains match the drapes? Come on, kid, I need to know. I need details, damn it. Jiraiya begged as Minato continued to talk towards the Hokage Tower. 2 weeks later, Fire Capital. Tsunade was currently in the Fire Capital deciding to spend some time there. As well as help out around the city who needed healing done. Tsunade was also accompanied by Shizune Kato, Dan Kato's niece. Tsunade took Shizune under her wing when Dan passed away and began to teach Shizune medical ninjutsu. Shizune was talented and skilled in the art, and this way Tsunade could travel with someone. Shizune looked to her sensei confused. Sensei, are you alright? You were able to heal the lady who broke her ankle. But that took you almost 10 minutes to heal her. Normally it takes you 5 to heal something like that. Tsunade and Shizune were back in their hotel. The said slug princess sat down on the chair with sweat dripping down her face. I have no idea what's going on, Shizune, it's been weird. My chakra control is perfect. It felt shaky and wobbly earlier. The fact I even healed that girl is crazy. Tsunade lifted her hand up to her face to look at it. Shizune was concerned. Normally you don't get sick, but maybe I should do a diagnosis for you. First, maybe you should go shower and freshen up, then I can see what's wrong. Thanks, Shizune. Just give me a moment. Tsunade began to get up and walk towards the bathroom where she got undressed and began to wash herself. After some time Shizune prepared some dinner and her sensei came walking out. Dinner is on the table sensei, maybe try eating too. It might give you the energy you need, may even alleviate the issues you have. Suan simply nodded as the two sat down to eat and chatted about the day, as well as their next decision to move towards the land of hot water. Once they were done, Tsunade stood up and walked over into the family room. She sat on an ottoman as Shizune began to do her regular checkup. You're not running a fever, so you're not battling anything. Shizune started with her glowing green hands on Tsunade's head. Shizune began to make her way down towards shoulders and found nothing. Her hands began to move over towards the slug princess's impressive bust too, again still nothing. Though Shizune did note that her S seemed to be rather swollen to a degree. However, it wasn't a crazy amount either. Sensei, does your back bother you by chance? Tsunade pondered for a moment and nodded her head, maybe just a bit, but not too much. Shizune continued further to her stomach seemed fine. Kidneys, liver, seemed fine as well. Once Shizune moved her hand lower, she felt a ping of chakra. Shizune froze in shock, confused. Sensei, did you just channel some chakra or something? Like near your stomach? Tsunade looked to Shizune confused. What? Of course, not. My chakra control has been all shit today. Shizune looked to Tsunade and back down to her stomach. Shizune sent another small pulse of chakra to the said ping, and Shizune felt it again. Sensei, could you maybe, I don't know, release some of your chakra? Shizune felt that this bit of chakra was similar to Tsunade, but different. As if there was another being within her. Tsunade, confused, did so for a moment and then relaxed. Shizune froze once again, there was no mistaking it. The two chakras that Shizune found were indeed different. Shizune looked up to her sensei and mumbled, pregnant. Tsunade looked at her student confused. Speak up, Shizune, you're mumbling, I didn't hear what you said. Pregnant. Tsunade froze. Why, you're pregnant? Tsunade's eyes widen in shock, confusion, and worry. Pregnant? Sensei, you're pregnant. Shizune stood up looking at her sensei aghast by the sudden news. Tsunade didn't even know what to say. How did this all happen? She hasn't had in years. Plus, her previous lover was Dan she hasn't had. Tsunade's mind wandered back to Minato, and she saw his stupid grin on his face. The one Jiraiya makes too. A fire began to glow in Tsunade's eyes, and Shizune saw it. Someone was going to die. For the first time ever, it wasn't going to be Jiraiya. Konoha's gates. The current guards by the gate were Kotetsu and Izumo, and so far it has been dry. Granted, war by no means was something they wished for. Though it did having to guard the gate, all they did was approve people coming in and leaving the village. Man, things sure have gotten quiet since the war. Not that I hope for another one. Even still, Kotetsu, Izumo looked to his friend, you should be careful about what you ask for all you know you could be, Shake. The two blinked for a moment until Shake, and before they knew it. Shake asterisk shake asterisk shake asterisk shake, the ground beneath had a vibrating sound. What in the hell is going on? Izumo shouted as the two began to run towards the entrance to look on ahead. Wait. Who is that? Kotetsu lifted his hands up to block the sun, and he squinted his eyes. He saw a figure seemingly running towards them. Before they could register and realize who it was, the figure jumped forward at a dash-like motion towards them. Kami duck. Kotetsu hit the dirt along with Izumo as the said figure dashed over them. The two slowly stood up as they saw the back of the shirt of the person who ran over them. It's the slug princess. Suan-sama. Azumo looked worried as he turned back to his partner. Just then the short black-haired Shizune came running in. Sorry Katetsu. Azumo. Tsunade is not in a happy mood. Sorry we can't do proper procedures. Shizune continued to run after Tsunade, worried for the baby's health with the way Tsunade was acting. Azumo turned to Katetsu and glared at him. Great. Look what you did, Katetsu. What I do? You just had to go and jinx today. Now some poor bastard is going to be on the receiving end of her fist. Azumo looked onwards and then into the sky. It's all thanks to you, Katetsu. Geez, what did the other person ever do to you? Katetsu looked at Azumo, irritated by the comment, but he had to admit. Whoever seriously pissed off the slug princess. May Kami have mercy on their soul. Hokage office. Minato was doing some paperwork, meanwhile Hiruzen was off on the side reading Ikaika books that Jiraiya writes. Also, said Toad Sage was currently writing on a notebook for the next story. He recently just got done doing some research to help him make new material for the books. Damn this paperwork, this is getting annoying. Hiruzen could only chuckle at it. That's why I didn't want to become Hokage. Jiraiya laughed back as he continued to write. Just then the three heard some talking and commotion going on outside. Hey, wait, Tsunade-sama, you can't just. The said secretary of the Hokage was interrupted once there was a loud crash sound come from the other room. The three Hokage-level shinobi looked onwards in confusion when they heard Tsunade. Just then the doors burst open with rage-filled eyes looking dead at Minato. Minato, I'm gonna kill you, but not before castrating you. Hiruzen, Minato, and Jiraiya all stood up in shock and confusion with Tsunade's current threat. From her look, actions, and aura she was dead serious. Tsunade glared at Minato just as Shizune came running into the room. Tsuan-sensei. Please. Calm down, it's not good for you. Tsunade glared more daggers at Minato as he fist clenched harder at her side. I'm gonna kill you, Minato. Just then three Anbu jumped down in front of them. The one in the middle had a weasel mask with two Sharingan eyes glowing at Tsunade. The one on the right had a dragon mask on, he had a single glowing Sharingan eye. Then the one left of the weasel-masked Anbu had a dog mask with a single left glowing Sharingan eye. Tsunade-sama, we implore you step back from the Hokage. Weasel responded. We're his bodyguards, we cannot allow you to harm him. Regardless of what he has done. Dragon added. Therefore we'll. Dog was cut off as Tsunade continued to glare at the three Anbu with no care in the world. If you know what's good for you, you three and the other will leave instanly. Unless you want me to rearrange your body parts for you. I'll do so until you look like a Prestel. The other medical NINS won't be able to determine from your mouth and your. Tsunade roared out, scaring Hiruzen, Minato, and Jiraiya even more. Just what is going on? The three Anbu looked to one another, without even needing to talk. Their simple looks and glances at one another. They knew what they had to do. The three turned to Minato and bowed their heads. Hokage-sama, we believe you have this one covered. The three disappeared and left the room along with the other Anbu who had a cat mask. Minato glared, looking at the window they left through. Cowards. I'll have their heads for their insubordination. What happened to protecting your Hokage? Just then Suan continued to glare at Minato. Seals. Now Minato. Minato still in his stupor. Hiruzen, deciding to try to ease Tsunade's anger, quickly made the seals to put up a privacy barrier up for Minato. Tsunade didn't even give Hiruzen a nod of thanks or anything. Tsunade stormed over towards Minato, lifted her fist up and smashed it down on the Hokage desk. She then grabbed pieces and chucked them as if she was separating the sea herself. Tsunade then grabbed Minato by the collar and lifted him up. You bastard. I'm gonna kill you. Just then this was enough as Jiraiya quickly ran over towards his prized student's side. He placed a hand on Tsunade. Harem. Come on. That's enough. If you're putting on this show, surely it has to be directed at me. Minato hasn't done anything wrong at all, he's been here the whole time. Hiruzen nodded his head in agreement. Indeed, it would have been Jiraiya who did something wrong. Tsunade glared to Jiraiya and continued to hold on to Minato and said, "Well, I wouldn't have come back to this village if this bastard hadn't knocked me up. Tell that to my uterus pervert." Shizune sighed as she saw it was no use trying to calm her sensei down. But even still, Shizune had to try for her unborn little sister or brother. Shizune walked over, placing a hand on Tsunade's shoulder. "Tsunade-sensei. Please. For the baby's sake. All this stress can't be good for it." Tsunade growled as she dropped Minato, as he fell to the floor in a messy heap. Tsunade and Shizune walked back towards the door of the room. Meanwhile, the entire time the room was silent as Minato stared at Tsunade in shock. Meanwhile, Jiraiya looked onwards in shock, looking back and forth at Minato and Tsunade. Hiruzen currently had dropped not only his pipe onto the floor, but along with the current issue of Ika Ika he was reading. P. Pregnant. F. From that one time. Minato screamed out in shock as placed his hand on the back of his head. "Yes, you daft idiot. How many more times do I have to say it?" Tsunade shouted back as she crossed her arms under her chest. Jiraiya tried to think for a moment until it hit him. "Tsunade, Minato, the bar. No way. The girl you got lucky with." Jiraiya looked to Minato as he slowly stood back up to his feet. Minato was rather shocked by the news, honestly he was surprised. But although not unhappy about said news, Minato collected himself, blinking, and said, "Oh well, era that means, it is mine, right? Yes, you idiot. You're the only one that I slept with in the past 2 weeks. Geez." Tsunade looked away, rather still angry and slightly embarrassed too. Hiruzen still was at a loss of words. Tsunade then glared back at Minato. "Wait. If you think you're going to try to make me. No. Never." Minato quickly stopped Tsunade's mind from going somewhere he didn't want. Actually, I've always wanted to start a family. Well, under better circumstances, honestly. Though, I guess this works out too. I'm going to be a father." Minato, doing his best to make of the situation, only saw real good from it. He's gonna be a father, something he has wanted for a long time. Could it have been with someone he actually loved like Kushina? Yes, but you can't always get what you want now, can ya? Well, good. I'm going to keep it and raise it. Well, that means we'll have to set up a place for you to stay in. Before Minato could continue, Tsunade held her hand up. "No. The last thing I am going to do is stay in this Kami-forsaken village. I'm not letting this village take anything more away from me." Hiruzen and Minato understood that reasoning very much. Jiraiya was still computing what was going on. Just then Jiraiya snapped back to reality. "Actually, I think it's a good idea." Tsunade was surprised along with Hiruzen, Minato, and Shizune. The fact he agreed to something like this was unusual. "Oh, well, Tsunade was at a loss of words on this one. I can see the idea of doing so, trying to keep quiet about you having a child." Hiruzen picked up his pipe, relit it and took a puff. "Word of you having a child could cause a lot of problems. Well, I plan on staying on the outer rim of the Land of Fire. I'm going to stay at a summer house Hashirama Gigi made for us to retreat to." Tsunade let a sigh as she felt her own anger and more begin to subside. Which also made Shizune happy that Tsunade was calming down. Minato walked over to Tsunade and smiled as he rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, I promise to do my best to help support and provide for you and the baby. Regardless of if it is a she or he, I want to be there for it. Minato took out one of his tri-pronged kunai. Here, take this, just throw it and it tells me when one of my markers are thrown. I can teleport to it immediately if you ever need anything. Tsunade just sighed as she took the kunai. I want no one else to hear of this. Even when I give birth, it will only be Shizune who helps out. I want Bawako to be there too. Besides Shizune, she's the only other medical nin I could trust. Hiruzen smiled at that. Well, I'll make sure she learns through a safe manner. Tsunade, well, I guess a congratulations are in order. Hiruzen was glad. This could be very good for Tsunade. This baby could very well help Suan get past her past trauma. To make things easier, I'll make sure to send over funds to your account. I can help pay off your gambling tabs too, Suan. I want to make sure you can live comfortably and more. Minato added, into which Tsunade appreciated it greatly. Thank you. I rather not use my family fortune to pay off my gambling tabs. Sigh, you're taking this better than I thought you would. Tsunade had to admit she was wrong about the way Minato would react. He's just a goofy Hokage who wanted to have a family, can't entirely blame him for it. As well as Tsunade understanding the similar feeling of wanting to be with that said loved one. It can't be easy knowing the person he cared for didn't want the family he wanted. She was still alive, meanwhile for her, her lover has been long since dead. I know this doesn't make things easy, Suan, but we can do our best together. Be good parents to our kid, so if you ever need anything, please contact me. I will do everything in my power to help you and the child. Minato said maturely, to which even Tsunade had to admit was nice to hear. She fought her small blush she had easily, but not unnoticed by Shizune. But even still, it wasn't something to really linger on either. Just then Jiraiya chuckled and scratched his cheek nervously. Well, there we have it, man. Minato looked to Jiraiya and frowned. I'm sorry, sensei. I just couldn't bring myself to tell you the truth. Because I know how much you. Minato was cut off when Jiraiya held his hand up in the air. Suan, Shizune, Hiruzen, and Minato saw a rather serious look on his face. There is truly nothing to say sorry for Minato, but if you feel that bad about it, then. Jiraiya seemingly had a serious tone to his voice, to which Minato was prepared. Prepared for his sensei to lash out at him. Just then Jiraiya slumped to the ground. I need details, Minato. Please. Was she a moaner, screamer, squirter? I need to know this information. You got to taste the forbidden fruit that no man will ever get to try. I need to know how her felt. What it felt like in all its glory. Did the curtains match the drapes? I need details, damn it. Give them to me. Tsunade was blushing up a storm, along with anger and more beginning to fill her eyes. That included a raging flame appearing in the pupils of her eyes. Shizune was even giving a disgusted look to Jiraiya. Suan glared also at Minato, that if he spilled anything to Jiraiya. Minato saw Tsunade's look as well. It was promise of never-ending pain and suffering. Suan began to make her way towards Jiraiya as she rolled her fist up. For some unknown reason, her perfect chakra control came back. Just for this moment, to beat the pervert senseless for his lack of tact and perverseness. Just before the slug princess began to bring down her haymakers of punches. Jiraiya stood back up, placing his hand on his chin, with his other hand supporting the elbow of his other arm. You know that does make sense now. I never took Suan to being a cougar, no wonder why she never fell for my manly charms. Hiruzen simply just facepalmed. For the next 2 hours, Hiruzen and Minato watched as Suan and Shizune mercilessly beat the toad sage to a pulp. Bones broken, snapped, smashed, and more for it to only be healed. Then broken again. Conically, Tsunade's chakra control stabilized to simply beat the pervert that was currently at the end of her fist. Once the two were done with their brutalization of Jiraiya, Minato and Hiruzen continued the adult conversation with Tsunade and Shizune. Well, with that said, Tsunade, we'll make sure to keep this completely confidential. Bawako will be informed in a very safe way too. So don't worry. Hiruzen added, to which Tsunade nodded her head agreeing. Tsunade sighed as she looked to Minato. I'll be going now, you can come by when you're free or when I call. Suan turned to leave as Shizune followed with Hiruzen releasing the privacy barrier. Minato let a sigh of relief out as he slumped into his chair and Hiruzen took a very long drag of his pipe. Just then Cat came back and went to her spot. With Weasel, Dog, and Dragon came back into the room once the seals were removed. Minato glared at the three Anbu who left him abandoned but didn't bother to lecture them. He'd have their for this on another time. Because the Anbu currently saw a bloody and beaten heap of a mess. That they could only determine it to be Jiraiya. Time skip 8 months and a week later. Suan and Shizune have been living in the old Senju family summer house. They've been there trying to live quietly and peacefully. Of course, on the off chance they would use transformation jutsu to go into town. This was done to keep their identities secret and hidden. Of course, Tsunade and Shizune did some healing on the side when it was needed. Though mainly Shizune was one doing healing while Suan supervised. This way Shizune could continue to practice with her own studies and healing as well. But with this part of Tsunade's pregnancy was usual morning sickness, craving for some dumb reason ramen. The only other who enjoyed ramen Suan could think of was Kushina, maybe it was Uzumaki blood or something. Then the mood swings. Kami, the mood swings. Suan hasn't felt as moody or bitchy. It annoyed Suan to high hells, it also made he want to castrate Minato for causing this on her. Even though she knew full well that it took two the tango. Of course, when Tsunade did need things she would throw the tri-pronged kunai at the wall. She would use and abuse that power Minato gave her. Whether she wanted hot and fresh ramen to eat, groceries, or certain household items you couldn't get at the village she was at. What's more to it, Minato would find himself appear on top of a heated stove. In the middle of a freezing cold bathtub. In a trash can, on the roof of the house, in a closet, hamper, and even in a river. Minato took the abuse like a champ, most men would have been fed up and annoyed. Though Minato couldn't really do anything about it, because he didn't want to face the wrath of Suan. Though explaining why he returned to Konoha to meetings either wet, bruised, or burned. He had to come up with some excuse all the time. He had to even admit one time that he got socked in the face after a misjudged teleportation. He stated her threw a kunai the wrong way, and it landed in the female side of a spa. When he teleported, he got socked in the face. Of course, the real story was that he went to go visit Tsunade during his free time. Suan forgot to leave the kunai outside of the bathroom. So when he appeared, he saw Suan in her birthday suit washing herself. Just say that day was not a pleasant day, he spends majority of that day in self-exile. Tsunade could be a real cruel bitch when she wanted to be. But in the end it was all worth it. Currently Minato, Jiraiya, Hiruzen, Bawako, Shizune were all in Konoha. They were just outside of Konoha in a secret base. Of course, there were Anbu stationed out there. But no one knew what was going on except for the latter. Which Bawako was informed of Tsunade's pregnancy a couple days after Suan last visited. Hiruzen stayed outside with said Anbu to protect the place. Meanwhile inside of the private room, Tsunade laid on a bed. With the assistance of Bawako and Shizune who have been working non-stop for the past 5 hours. Tsunade's water finally broke, to which she had Minato come and take her to the place where she would give birth in secrecy. Come on Tsunade-sensei, you've dilated more, but we need a bit longer before you can push. Shizune had Minato and Jiraiya staying more to the side but helped keep the warm water coming for Tsunade. As well as Jiraiya using his water nature to keep more water coming. Finally, after another 4 hours, Suan dilated enough where she could begin pushing. Come on Suan-sensei. I can see the head, just keep pushing. Come on you two. We need more water. Hurry it up. Bawako barked out as Minato was flashing back and forth between Jiraiya and Bawako with water. Meanwhile Jiraiya was running on fumes here, keeping up with the amount of water needed. Bawako continued to keep Suan cool or warm whenever she needed it. As well as tried to keep the area as clean and sterile as possible. Damn it. Gee ga. Get this kid out of me. Suan continued to push as she was beginning to wrap up her delivery. Bawako soon ushered Minato over as he quickly got to Tsunade's side to hold her hand. Though that part was a mistake as he instantly felt his entire hand shatter. Tsunade's superhuman strength crushed his hand, causing the Yodime to hold in his screams of pain. Shizune continued to say, "Come on Suan. Just a bit more. More of the head is coming out. The brat doesn't want to leave. Just take him out." Suan screamed as she let out another push. Shizune was there to hold the head gently and pull the baby out of Suan. Bawako quickly walked over to help remove the afterbirth from Suan as well. Congratulations Tsunade-sensei. It's a healthy baby boy. Shizune cheered out. Let me clean him up and I'll bring him to you. Shizune quickly took the new baby and began to clean him off. Meanwhile Minato walked over to Shizune. With his current broken hand, he pulled out his tri-pronged kunai. Shizune looked to the Hokage as she held out the umbilical cord. Minato got to cut it. Shizune cleaned up the baby boy and wrapped him up. Shizune then handed the baby to Minato. Here, why don't you bring the little guy over to Tsunade? Minato took the moment to take in his new son. He had light blonde hair similar to his mother's along with her nose and face's shape. Minato smiled as his little boy as he began to walk over towards Tsunade. Minato looked up to see Suan beginning to catch her breath as Bawako was finishing up. Bawako looked over to see the bundle of joy in Minato's arms. She simply smiled as Minato leaned next to Tsunade. Look Suan, our son, our baby. Minato reached his son out to Suan who only cooed. Suan smiled as she reached out and held the baby in her arms. She brought him close to her heart, to which the baby began to respond and to. He's beautiful, my little baby boy, my. Suan paused for a moment to think about it. Jiraiya, who's also been trying to catch his breath, came walking over to see his new godson, and a bright smile appeared on his face. Naruto, my little Naruto, Naru-chan. Tsunade cooed even more as she kissed his delicate head and held him close. Minato smiled. He liked the name Naruto a lot actually. Minato proposed this name to Suan after a book that Jiraiya made. It may not have been the most popular, but it was a favorite to Minato. A wonderful name Tsunade. Glad you liked it so much. I think it works wonderfully. Tsunade looked over to Jiraiya. For a pervert, you're good at making names more than anything else. For Jiraiya it really touched him. Oh, wow. Man, I'm glad you like the name so much. I'm honored truly. Jiraiya looked at his godson as he smiled. Wow, didn't think they'd name him after one of my characters. Of course, it's from the one book that hardly ever sells. Outside with Hiruzen. Hiruzen along with the Anbu on watch waited for whatever was going on inside. The Anbu there were dog, weasel, and dragon waiting. Though, very soon Minato came out as Hiruzen looked at Minato with hope in his eyes. However, things never go as planned, they never do. Just then a cat Anbu with purple hair appeared in front of Hiruzen and Minato. Minato and Hiruzen heard a loud roar, and off in the distance could see 9 tails swaying in the air. Kyuubi. Minato stated as Hiruzen looked in worry as well. This is a bad time for Kushina to be out of the village. Something must have happened to Mito. Minato looked to Hiruzen. This isn't good. Gather all the troops, Hiruzen. We need to stop the Kyuubi. Anbu. Go assist the others. Minato ordered as Weasel, Cat, Dragon, and Dog went to go stop the Kyuubi. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. If Mito-chan is unable, we need to reseal it into a child. I'll go. No. Hiruzen looked to see Minato state sternly looking at him. I will not ask a child whom I don't even know to bear such a burden. Minato thought to Kushina's twin sister Mito, named after the late Mito Senju. I am Hokage. As Hokage I cannot do that to another family nor child. As when I know the son that I have, I believe he could do it. Minato looked onwards knowing what he had to do. Wait. Let me do it, Minato, if you're going to use what I think you'll do. Let me do it. I'm old and Konoha needs a strong leader like you. Hiruzen quickly intervened as he threw his cage robes off to his battle armor. Minato smiled as he nodded his head, but before Hiruzen could go in to get Minato's son, Minato got behind Hiruzen and knocked him out. Hiruzen fell to the ground as he saw Minato walking back into the secret base. Thanks, Hiruzen, but I cannot ask you to do it to my child. You'll be Hokage again. Sorry, Hiruzen, but it needs to me. Minato quickly Hirishin went back into where Tsunade, Shizune, Bawako, and Jiraiya were. They were completely unaware of what was going on. Tsunade was currently asleep with Shizune doing some normal checkups on Naruto to check for vitals and everything. Tsunade was given a sedative to help her sleep and recover. Minato walked over and said, Shizune, can you give Naruto to me for a moment? Shizune, not seeing Minato's alternative motive, or anything, did so. Minato smiled looking down at his son. Naruto, I know you'll grow big and strong, and you'll do me proud. But I must apologize for what I'm about to do to you. But I believe you can handle it. Shizune looked to Minato confused along with Bawako and Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sensei, Shizune, Bawako, the Kyuubi appeared and is currently attacking the village. Jiraiya's eyes widen. I plan on sealing the Kyuubi into Naruto. Tell Tsunade I'm sorry. No, I won't let you do this to Naruto. He can't. Shizune tried to argue, but Minato looked at her with a very stern look on his face. Sorry, Shizune, but I must. I cannot ask another family to sacrifice their child. Nor could I ever burden something like this on an orphan. But why do that when I could do it to my son? He and Tsunade may hate me for this. But I have to do it. I must do it. I need you to train and look after Naruto when he grows up. He'll have many enemies. Promise me, Jiraiya. Promise you'll do this for me. Wait. No. Minato. Let me do it. You don't need to die to do. No, sensei. Jiraiya was taken back by Minato's quickly and stern reply. This is my son. I'm the Hokage. This is my duty. Minato's face relaxed as he smiled. I wish I could continue and look after him, but I need to do this. Hiruzen couldn't seal the Kyuubi. He isn't as strong as he uses to. You could, sensei, but we would lose one of our most prominent spy networkers. Hokages can be replaced. People you, sensei, can't be. I name Hiruzen as the next acting Hokage again. For what it's worth, Shizune, I'm sorry, but I have to do this. Before Shizune could react, Minato disappeared in a flash of yellow. No. Naruto. Shizune flung Sanbons in the spot that Minato was in. She was aiming for his legs. No. Naruto. Shizune turned around and glared at Jiraiya. No. Don't you realize what he's gonna do? He's going to seal that thing into Naruto. Tsunade wouldn't want this. Jiraiya bit his lip and he hated it. He knew it too. He knew that Hiruzen couldn't pull such a feat. If he were to, the spy network that Konoha had would go silent. Jiraiya had tears run down his cheeks as Shizune's eyes widened and then relaxed. Shizune looked away upset with her own tears in her eyes. A boy whom she'll see as a little brother will now be forced to have a burden placed on him. Before he could even say yes or no to it, Jiraiya looked at the Senbon needles that Shizune threw. He walked over and picked them up, handing them back to Shizune. Watch over Tsunade, you two Bawako. I need to go make sure to get my godson. Jiraiya headed out of the secret base. Minato, I couldn't have been prouder of who you've become. I just wish you didn't have to sacrifice yourself, my son. I'm so proud of you. 10 minutes later, Minato stood weakly over his son not even being an hour old. Minato felt the pain from the Reaper death seal on his stomach. He saw the seal that formed onto Naruto's stomach and disappeared. Minato fell to his knee, after driving off the masked man with two Sharingan eyes. Minato looked over to see Hiruzen and Jiraiya running towards him. Minato smiled. My son. Minato looked to Naruto as he fell to the ground, but he reached up and gently grasped his son's tiny hand. Minato lifted himself up. Behave for Yuka-san, look after her for me, care for her in my stead. Grow up strong, eat well, bathe, and take care of yourself, my son, Naruto, I love you. And this is, goodbye. Minato conscious slipped as his head hit the ground, but his hand stayed grasping baby Naruto's hand. Hiruzen and Jiraiya got there as Minato laid there dead, and baby Naruto began to cry, letting out cries of a fallen soldier, fallen Kage, his father. Jiraiya frowned as he knelt down and gently picked up Naruto. He handed him to Hiruzen. Truly you were one of the best shinobi, Minato. I promise to look after Naruto and Tsunade for you. Hiruzen looked down upset. As much as I disagree with what you decided on, Minato, I will miss you greatly, my dear friend. You were true Hokage up until the very end. I will do my best to protect your son and help him grow. Soon Anbu arrived with Weasel, Dog, and Dragon with them. Hiruzen looked to them and stated, Minato reinstated me as acting Hokage. Weasel, Dog, and Dragon, take Minato's body and prepare it for the funeral. Make sure no one gets near it. Hi. The three walked over and gently picked Minato's body and disappeared into the night. Hiruzen looked down at Naruto and noticed 3 whisker marks on each cheek. 2 days later, private base. 2 nights after the Kyuubi attacked the Hidden Leaf, many mourned the loss of shinobi and civilians alike. Everyone mourned the loss of the Yodime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. The story was told that he killed the Kyuubi, and he died in the process of doing so, earning the everlasting respect of the people in Konoha. A threat to Konoha has ended, but the looming threats continued to linger in the darkness and shadows. Mito's death went unnoticed by the civilians, but not by the people close to Mito. Especially the twin of Mito Uzumaki, Kushina Uzumaki. But back with the Slug Princess, she begins to awake from her medically induced sleep. Suan slowly opened her eyes as she looked around. My baby, Shizune, where's my Naruto? Just then Shizune came walking into the room with a smile on her face. Sorry Tsunade-sensei, since you've been getting rest. I for now was bottle feeding him, he's quite the hungry little guy. Tsunade was soon given to her son as she hugged him. Though, she looked at her son confused. It was her son, but something was different. He had 3 whisker marks on each side of his cheeks. Okay, these are new. I know I went so sleep, but I swore he didn't have whisker marks on his cheeks when I gave birth to him. Shizune frowned as Jiraiya, Bawako, and Hiruzen came walking in. You are right in that sense, Tsunade-sensei, he didn't until the Kyuubi attacked a couple nights ago. Tsunade's eyes widen as she looks around in anger. Where is Minato? I'm gonna kill him. He did not just seal that thing into my son. Just then Naruto began to cry from the sudden screaming. Tsunade immediately reeled it in as she gently touched her son's cheek. Oh no, not you my dear sweet Naru-chan, Ka-chan is sorry about that. Ka-chan didn't mean to wake you. Tsunade kissed his cheek which slowly helped calm Naruto down. Tsunade looked up to Jiraiya. Where is he Jiraiya? Where is that sorry excuse of a Two-san and Hokage? About that Tsunade Harem. Tsunade turned to see Jiraiya speaking, but Jiraiya had a downcast look on his face. Jiraiya's eyes were slightly red, and his cheeks were slightly puffy. He was crying. Minato died sealing the Kyuubi into Naruto. He believed that Naruto could handle said burden. He also said that he couldn't ask another family to sacrifice their child. Nor could he take some random orphan and do that to him. Minato died doing what he thought was right. He died serving the village. Hiruzen finished as he placed a hand on Jiraiya's shoulder. Tsunade still was quite angry and could easily kill Minato right now for what he's done. However, she could tell that Jiraiya was taking this really hard. Tsunade knows he's never known his parents, and neither did Minato. So, the two were quite close as if they were father and son. It's clear Jiraiya viewed Minato as such. Tsunade sighed as she turned to Shizune. Shizune, am I clear to leave? Yes, you are Tsunade-sensei, you should still take it easy. But you recovered quickly from the birthing process. Shizune looked to Tsunade knowing she wanted to begin to pack their things and leave. Bawako smiled. I think it's wise to do that Tsunade, as much as I'd love for you to stay. If people were to find out you have a son, he would be vulnerable to assassinations or kidnappings. I agree too. Besides, I can stop by and see my godson and more too. Jiraiya smiled looking to Tsunade. That way I can do my part and help look after Naruto and eventually train him. Wait. Train him? I don't know about that Jiraiya. I don't want to raise my son in this village. The fact that he was turned into a Jinchuriki, if they heard about what Naruto was, they'll treat him like garbage or even try to hurt him. I won't let my son be the victim of that. Not only that, but maybe he doesn't want to be a shinobi. Tsunade argued, knowing what she was saying wasn't going to be true. She just knew, by looking at her boy, that he'd want to be a shinobi. Not only is it in his blood, but now with that Kyuubi in him, he'll have chakra reserves well above normal shinobi. Well, if the time comes to that, we'll have to see. Jiraiya gave Tsunade a light-hearted smile. We'll just have to wait and see what he says. But for now, we need to protect him, that way he can grow up safely. I agree, but I'll be doing a lot of traveling. I'll keep my movements sporadic and move around, that way I can't be tracked if people were to try to look for me. Tsunade looked down at her son and frowned, but she smiled. I won't let anything come to harm my baby, my son, my Naru-chan. Hiruzen walked over and placed a hand on Tsunade's shoulder. You do what you need to Tsunade, look after your son, care for him and more. I can't wait to see him one day once he's older, please take care. I'll make sure the man who manages Minato's money is informed. If you're worried about him leaking information on Naruto's existence, he won't. He's a close friend who manages Sarutobi's finances as well. So, I promise you that funds to help support you and Naruto will continue to be deposited in your account. Fine, but no one else besides him and anyone in this room can know of Naruto, less people who know the better. Tsunade closed her eyes and smiled. I guess this is it then, we'll begin to take our leave. Tsunade and Shizune so far, staying in Hashirama's summer retreat, haven't had a lot of trouble caring for Naruto. He mostly looked around and things a baby would do. It wasn't hard for them. Tsunade fed him, and changed his diapers when needed. Shizune even got to experience what it was like to care for a younger brother. Just say, Naruto was one of the safest, and most pampered baby in the world at that time. Jiraiya would come in occasionally to check up on the three and give Naruto presents. Of course, Naruto was always glad to see Jiraiya when he came in. Though, whenever he tried to hold Naruto, Naruto would begin crying, swaying his arms into the air while kicking. Which once time Naruto landed a solid strike onto Jiraiya's face, which resulted in a black eye which amused Tsunade and Shizune. That was because Jiraiya had to make a comment about Tsunade's looking bigger. Though this go around, Tsunade and Shizune were currently in the living room relaxing. Naruto was on the floor playing with some baby toys. Tsunade was reading one of Jiraiya's stories, not the smut books, but the tale of the utterly gutsy shinobi, which she had to admit. Jiraiya was not a bad writer, not storyteller either. For a pervert, if he actually got his mind out of the gutter, he could actually make decent living and good series if he tried. Shizune stood up to go make some tea. Tsunade-sensei, I'm going to make some tea, you want some? Tsunade lowered the book so Shizune could see her eyes. Sure, but I think some sake would go great with this book. Shizune looked at her sensei with a frown. Sensei, how many times do I need to tell you? Tsunade lifted the book over her eyes again, and rolled them. Besides, you're feeding Naruto, alcohol will affect the milk you produce. Do you want Naruto to be alcoholic like you? Tsunade began to mumble, annoyed from her student's sternness with her. Naruto was currently on the ground as he played with a small gray plush slug that Tsunade gifted to Naruto. Just then there was a rustle as the window to the house opened. Tsunade and Shizune stood on guard as they threw senbons at the open window. Ah! Yow! Tsunade and Shizune frowned, recognizing that voice. Oh, it's Jiraiya. A shame, seems like I missed. Jiraiya stepped in as senbon needles were stuck in his face and torso. Yow! Harem. Shizune. You should really watch where you throw those. Jiraiya looked to them with a pained look on his face. He quickly pulled them out as the young medic nin in training healed the Toad Sage's wounds. Baby Naruto looked up to see Jiraiya come walking in. Baby Naruto smiled as he clapped his hands. Hey! How ya doing, squirt? Jiraiya walked over and leaned over, patting Naruto on the head. Man, already getting so big. 3 months EH. Well, keep this up, you'll end up being a real lady killer just like your two-san. Tsunade crossed her arms over her chest. TCH, yeah right, over my dead body. Anyways, Jiraiya, the hell are you doing here? You normally announce when you're coming. Jiraiya sighed as he rubbed the back of his head as a serious look came onto his face. You two are gonna wanna sit down for this, it's a rough one. Tsunade and Shizune noted that Jiraiya dropped the serious act with them. Jiraiya pulled a scroll out and released the contents from within. A stuffed toad plushie that Jiraiya gave to Naruto, to which he quickly crawled up to Jiraiya. But before Jiraiya expected him to crawl to get it, Tsunade's and Shizune's eyes widened as Naruto pushed himself off the floor. Oh Kami! His first steps. Tsunade squealed in delight along with Shizune, who also ran up next to her sensei. Jiraiya was smiling brightly as well as Naruto waddled over to him. Jiraiya knelt on his knee as Naruto walked to him with his hands out. Before the group knew it, Naruto got to Jiraiya with his eyes on the prize. Naruto grabbed the stuffed plushie of the toad off Jiraiya. Great job, Naruto. I'm so proud of you. Jiraiya scooped Naruto as the baby Naruto began to laugh and giggle. Tsunade and Shizune walked up to the Toad Sage holding the baby Naruto, also complimenting Naruto's well done job. Jiraiya smirked as he said, Man, I could get used to this, 2 cute ladies complimenting your amazing achievement, Naruto. Of course, it was all done thanks to me. Jiraiya said with a stupid grin on his face, to which Tsunade and Shizune glared at the self-proclaimed super pervert. Just then Naruto cheered out as both his hands raised up into the air, yag. Baby Naruto cheer out, but his fist slammed into Jiraiya's left eye. Ow! Jiraiya whined out as his head moved backwards as he stumbled holding the baby Naruto. Jiraiya then covered his right hand with his left eye since he was holding Naruto. Jiraiya felt a bruise on his face. Damn it brat, I give ya a new and cool present. Help you take your first step. This is how you reward me. Kami damn that hurt. Jiraiya language please. Naruto is at that age that he can begin to. Tsunade began to scold the said pervert until she was cut off. Damn. Baby Naruto cheered out, to which Jiraiya moved his head to avoid being hit in the face again. Everyone was beginning to learn that Naruto, even as a baby, had a damn good punch. However, Jiraiya began to sweat and look worried as Tsunade and Shizune glared at the toad sage. Shizune walked up and slammed her elbow into his stomach, knocking the wind out of him. OPHM. Suan took Naruto from Jiraiya's arms with a continued glare. You teach him another word like that, Jiraiya, I'll rearrange your vocal cords to make you sound like you smoke 5 packs a day. Tsunade growled out, to which Jiraiya paled in worry. Suan sighed with a growl on her face. Anyways, the heck did you come here for? Suan almost swore herself. She really needs to rein that in. Jiraiya, not gently nursing the hit on his stomach, took a moment to catch his breath. Asterisk wheeze asterisk. Geez, Shizune right in the sternum too, anyways. Jiraiya coughed into his hand. There's an unknown group that's been rising up. Not well known, but you can't miss their appearance. They're known as the Akatsuki. They wear straw hats with small ornamental torques and tassels hanging down over their faces. They wear black cloaks with red cloud sun it. They always are in pairs of 2. They're made up of missing nuke nins, all being S-class. Tsunade's eyes widen in surprise along with Shizune. That's strange, why would they be together? I don't know why either, but it's for them to capture, well, the bijus. Jiraiya looked to Naruto, to which Shizune's and Tsunade's eyes widen even more. Jiraiya could even feel Tsunade's mother aura coming to the surface. Shizune, go put Naruto to sleep, we need to talk more. Suan looked to Jiraiya with a serious look on her face. Suan handed Naruto to Shizune, to which Shizune hurriedly did so with her own worried look on her face. The two walked over to the couch to sit and talk. Okay, first off, what the hell do they need the bijus for? Tsunade looked to make sure Naruto was in the other room with Shizune before swearing. I don't know, but that's the information I've collected so far. They've attempted to capture some of them but failed. So, for now it seems they've been taking on missions as of late. Just to make some money, but if this group is left unchecked. Jiraiya looked to Tsunade and then out the window. They could become a problem later on. Suan bit her lip angrily. Damn Minato. Now my baby boy is a target. Even more so now that he is my son too. Grr. Damn it all to hell. Suan slammed her fist into the arm of the couch, luckily not breaking it. I know you're worried, Harem, but it brings more issues to the surface. We have to train Naruto now, we got time, and they don't know he exists currently. We need to train him, he'll become a strong and powerful shinobi with our guidance. Not only that, he has some of the strongest shinobi blood flowing through his veins. We just need to train him to prepare him for what inevitably comes. Shizune came walking back into the room as she sat down next to Tsunade. I know it now, TCH, just would have liked to have Naruto live a normal childhood a bit longer. Jiraiya smiled as he turned to his head towards the door where Naruto was sleeping. The squirt has some time, maybe around age 6 or so we can slowly begin training him. By the time he is 12 he should attend Konoha to become a genin there. Shizune, even though she hated this, understood why Naruto has to go through this training. Before Tsunade could speak up, Shizune did. If that's what we need to do, then I'll also help train him. If those bastards think they can lay a single hair on my Odoto's head, they got another thing coming. Shizune looked at the ground with an angry look on her face. You got that right, Shizune. We'll make sure Naruto gets strong. As much as I wish he couldn't be a shinobi and could live a simple normal life. I guess not all wishes are meant to be either, but I know what I can do. Tsunade turned her hands to the palm face her. She then clenched her hand tightly. I'll never let anyone, or anything ever take away something precious and important to me. That little bundle of joy, that ray of sunshine, he's been helping go through every day. Make waking up every day worth it, if they try to come for him. I'll hang them by their entrails. If it means I need to put Naruto through evasion training, then so be it. Tsunade had a fire light in her eyes. Shizune and Jiraiya gulped for poor Naruto. It seems his training won't be easy. It's not surprising that Tsunade wants to put him through her dodge training. Later that night, Tsunade slowly opened her eyes and let a yawn out. She was in her PJs and had to get up to use the restroom. She went over and did what she needed to do and got out. She then made her way towards Naruto's room to find him in the crib. She smiled looking down at him peacefully sleeping, but nonetheless it was time for him to eat. Tsunade lifted her baby boy from the crib and she grabbed the hem of her PJ top. Just then, through the doorway came in Shizune. Sorry Tsunade-sensei, I woke up to use the restroom too. I checked on Naruto and had to change his diaper. Tsunade turned to Shizune shocked. Wait, if Naruto is in Shizune's arms, then who was? Tsunade looked down to find a log in her arms. She then looked over to see a baby Naruto crawling towards the window of the room. Damn it. Of course, Shizune just had to get in my way. Damn it. That lucky brat gets all the good treatment. Just then Jiraiya felt a angry presence above him. He looked up to see Tsunade with red glowing eyes as she cracked her knuckles. Jiraiya placed his hand on his lip and said, Mama. Before Jiraiya knew it, a fist came flying at his face. Time skip 7 months and 5 years. Naruto's age, 6 years old. Fire capital * October 10th. Naruto came running into the family room where Tsunade and Shizune were sitting in and chatting. Ka-chan. Nei-chan. Guess what I learned from Uncle Jiraiya? Naruto made a hand seal and immediately a poof appeared next to him. Ta-da! Both Narutos said unison, and Naruto didn't even seem to be tired whatsoever. Tsunade and Shizune were very impressed. Wait, that's not just a clone. That's a shadow clone. Shizune said in shock. Yeah, isn't it cool? But Jiraiya said to be careful how many I make because they take up a lot of chalk. Chakura. Naruto was trying to remember how to say it. Oh. Chakra. Tsunade smiled as she stood up, walked over to Naruto. That's impressive, Naru-chan. So proud of you. Say, since it's your birthday today, why don't we go to a ramen stand for lunch today? Yeah, alright. Ramen. Naruto cheered along with the clone as the two jumped for joy. Come on. Dismiss the clone so we can go eat. Besides, I heard Jiraiya was paying today. Tsunade added, to which Naruto jumped excitedly as she and Shizune walked outside. Of course, Tsunade and Shizune were in transformations. The three went out to get some lunch, where they met up with Jiraiya, who paid for them. The four spent the rest of the afternoon hanging out and Naruto getting to play. They also recently adopted a pet pig named Tauntaun, which Shizune named. Naruto also got to play with Katsuyu along with Toad that Jiraiya summoned for Naruto play with. Eventually, with the end of the day near, Tsunade looked to her son. Did you enjoy your day, birthday boy? Sure. I did, Ka-chan. It was amazing. Naruto held up a present in his hands. Even with Uncle Jiraiya had to leave afterwards, he gave me this cool present. I can't wait to see what it is. Oh, good, open it, why don't you? Tsunade sat down on the couch. Meanwhile, Shizune was currently playing with Tauntaun. Suan then looked over to The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi, and began to read it. Naruto opened the present Jiraiya gave him and said, "Oh, Jiraiya gave me a book. It looks funny." Tsunade just mumbled, just try to read it, it's good practice for ya." Suan answered, not looking away from her book, "What do you know, the idiot actually gave him something good for once." Naruto sat there and began to read the book. As he flipped to the first page, "What is this? What is this wording? This is going to be hard." With Jiraiya. Jiraiya met with a man who was wearing a hoodie in an alley. "So, do you have it?" the hooded man asked Jiraiya. "Sure do, here ya go." Jiraiya gave the man a wrapped up book, and the hooded man gave Jiraiya photos. Jiraiya smirked as he looked at the pictures. "Ah ha ha. Alright, perfect beauties to use in my next book." "Oi, the hell is this?" The hooded man looked to Jiraiya with angry look on his face. Jiraiya looked to the man as he held up a book, The Tale of the Utterly Gusty Shinobi. "Wait a second, I thought I gave that book to my godson, Naruto." "Wait a second, if you have that, then that means, oh shit." Jiraiya took off like a bat out of hell. Jiraiya ran so fast, it would have put Might Guy to shame. With Naruto. Naruto was having a really hard time with the book, Aka-chan. "I need some help with these words." Tsunade sighed as she placed her book down. "Alright then, read it to me and sound the words out best you can for me. I'll do my best to help you." "Okay then." Naruto began to read from the top of the page, Chapter 1, Blows Psalms and Beginnings. Beginnings. Tsunade corrected. Now Shizune was listening in too. Beginnings. KKKA who? Naruto looked at the book confused. Tsunade just sighed. "Bring it here, Naruto, let me read it out loud for you." Once the book was given to her, Naruto got up next to her. He then read over her shoulder as Suan continued for him. Kazuki strolled into the quaint village of Hanamura, the warm spring breeze ruffling his hair. Cherry blossoms lined the streets, their petals creating a soft pink carpet. He had heard tales of the village's beauty, but the reality exceeded his expectations. "Kazuki. This place is a paradise," he muttered to himself, adjusting his satchel. Now, to find a place to stay. His wanderings led him to a small library, its doors wide open. Inside, he spotted a beautiful woman organizing books. She had long, dark hair and an air of quiet determination. "Kazuki. Excuse me," he called out, stepping inside. "I'm new in town and was wondering if you could point me to an inn." Aiko turned, startled. She knocked over a stack of books, which Kazuki deftly caught before they hit the ground. "Aiko. Oh, thank you. You have quick reflexes." "Kazuki. Years of practice. I'm Kazuki, by the way." "Aiko. Aiko. Nice to meet you. The inn is just down the street, next to the tea house." "Kazuki. Thanks, Aiko. Maybe I'll see you around." As Kazuki left, Aiko watched him go, a small smile playing on her lips. A few days later, Kazuki found himself in trouble. He had intervened when a group of thugs were harassing a villager, and now they were after him. He ran through the market, weaving between stalls, when Aiko appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. "Aiko. This way," she shouted, pulling him into a narrow alley. "Kazuki. Aiko. What are you doing here?" "Aiko. Saving you, apparently." They ducked into a hidden courtyard, and Aiko faced the thugs with surprising confidence. Thug leader. "Hand him over, girl, and we won't hurt you." "Aiko. Leave now, and I won't hurt you." The thugs laughed, but their laughter turned to shock as Aiko swiftly incapacitated them with precise martial arts moves. Kazuki. Whoa, remind me not to get on your bad side. Aiko. There's a lot you don't know about me, Kazuki. Kazuki. I'd like to change that. The village festival was in full swing. Lanterns illuminated the streets, and the air was filled with laughter and music. Kazuki found Aiko near a cherry blossom tree, her face lit by the lanterns, soft glow. Kazuki. You look beautiful tonight. Aiko. Thank you, Kazuki. It's a lovely festival. They wandered the festival together, sharing food and laughter. Under the cherry blossoms, they paused, and Kazuki took Aiko's hand. Kazuki. There's something I need to tell you. Suddenly, the peaceful night shattered as masked assailants attacked. Aiko's secret was revealed as she defended herself and Kazuki with skill and precision. Kazuki. Aiko, who are these people? Aiko. I'll explain later. For now, we fight. Together, they fended off the attackers, their movements synchronized as if they had trained together for years. After the attack, Aiko knew she couldn't hide her past any longer. She led Kazuki, Ryuji, and Hana to Master Kenji, an eccentric but wise mentor living on the outskirts of the village. Master Kenji. Ah, Aiko. I see you've brought friends. Kazuki. Master Kenji, I presume. Master Kenji. Indeed. Sit. All of you. We have much to discuss. As they sat around a small fire, Aiko explained her heritage and the danger she faced. Kazuki listened intently, his admiration for Aiko growing with each word. Kazuki. We'll help you, Aiko. Whatever it takes. Aiko. Thank you, Kazuki. Master Kenji. The path ahead is fraught with peril, but together, you may overcome it. The climactic battle took place in a secluded forest. Aiko's pursuers had tracked them down, and now they faced off in a fierce confrontation. Kazuki. Stay close, Aiko. Aiko. I can handle myself, Kazuki. But thank you. They fought side by side, their bond strengthening with each moment. When the last of the attackers fell, Kazuki turned to Aiko, his eyes filled with emotion. Kazuki. Aiko, I've fallen in love with you. Aiko. Kazuki, I love you too. Nearby, Ryuji and Hana, who had been supporting them from the sidelines, shared a tender moment of their own. Ryuji. Hana, I think I've loved you from the moment we met. Hana. Took you long enough to say it, Ryuji. Tsunade then stopped as she began to flip through some more pages. Also, while placing a hand over Naruto's eyes, hey. Ka-chan. I can't see the book. Tsunade ignored her son's plea to see the book. It wasn't long before she found the scenes of the two main characters together. Tsunade slammed the book shut to find the title of the book. I'm going to kill him. I think I'm seriously going to kill him this time. Tsunade shouted as she stood up and tossed the book to Shizune. Shizune caught the book and read the front before glaring at it too. Just then the door to the house slammed open. Naruto, whatever you do, don't open that. Tsunade smiled as she looked to Jiraiya with a sickening sweet smile on her face. Well, look who it is, the very person I was looking for. Tsunade walked up and disappeared and reappeared behind Jiraiya. Whoa, that was so cool, Ka-chan. Is that a new jutsu? Can I learn it? Naruto jumped up and down wanting to learn whatever that technique was. Tsunade smiled and Jiraiya said, oh. Of course, Naruto. I'd be so happy to teach that jutsu. Come outside and we can. An iron hand grip was placed on his shoulders. Maybe another time, Jiraiya. Naruto, don't worry, I can teach it to you better than this pervert can. Tsunade glared at Jiraiya as her eyes had a burning fire appear in place of her pupils. Shizune, why don't you have Naruto begin to work on some more chakra control exercises? Start with the leaf control exercise. Shizune went over and scooped up Naruto and Tauntaun. Make sure to save some of him for me, Tsunade-sensei. Don't worry, I will, or maybe I can be a bit clumsy sometimes. I'll do my best, but no promises. Now Jiraiya, dear, sweetie, honey, Jiraiya began to sweat when Tsunade said these things. I think we should have a good, long talk in your choices of gifts to my Naru-chan. Tsunade placed both hands together in a clapping motion and by her cheek. Why don't we take this into my room? Jiraiya gulped even harder. Wait. Naruto. Naruto. Take me with please. Naruto. Jiraiya tried to leave but was tripped to the ground. Tsunade grabbed him by the ankle and began to drag him inside. Jiraiya tried to stop himself from being dragged away, and even dug his nails into the floorboards. However, it was for naught as his nails peeled away the wood as Suan dragged him into her room. Let's just simply understand that Jiraiya saw Kami that day. Yet he was still rejected from actually dying because he was resuscitated. But that was only because Tsunade was acting as a human defibrillator. Naruto, Shizune, and Tsunade were making their way to a small remote village located between the land of fire and the land of water. This village, separate from both countries, would be their new home. Although Naruto didn't like moving around all the time, today was different. He couldn't help but feel excited because today was the day he'd finally get to test his chakra nature. Standing outside with his mother, Shizune, and Jiraiya, Naruto couldn't contain his excitement. He beamed with anticipation as Jiraiya approached with a proud smirk. Alright, kid, now that you've gotten your chakra going and have a good grasp on it, Jiraiya fished in his pocket for a piece of chakra paper. Let's see what you're made of. Shizune chimed in. Don't forget he got the shadow clone jutsu almost immediately, just like substitution, transformation, and clone jutsu. Of course, Tsunade smirked, placing her hands on her hips. He's my son, after all. Lucky he was born with great chakra control. Tsunade recalled how quickly Naruto had mastered the leaf chakra control exercise and moved on to sticking multiple leaves to his body, even in areas with challenging tenketsus. Jiraiya pulled out a piece of chakra paper. Here's the chakra paper. Borrowed it from none other than Hiruzen-sensei. He handed it to Naruto with a grin. You know what to do, kid. Yeah, thanks, Arrow Sennin. Naruto replied, causing Jiraiya to face fault onto the ground. Oi, you are not calling me that. Jiraiya exclaimed, getting back to his feet. Naruto retorted, you know it's true, Arrow Sennin. Besides, you tried to trick me on my birthday by giving me one of your crappy books. Naru-chan. Language please. Tsunade admonished. Sorry, Ka-chan, but you always say it. Just because I say it doesn't mean you should too. Do as I say, not as I do. Though I'll admit, you're not wrong this time, Tsunade smirked. Jiraiya, now sulking, muttered, you two are cruel. Besides, I resent that comment. I'm not a pervert. Tsunade, Shizune, and Naruto gave him deadpan looks. I'm a super pervert, Jiraiya declared, striking a pose as the wind picked up his hair dramatically. Pervert is a pervert, that's what you are, Arrow Sennin, Naruto retorted, causing Jiraiya to face fault once more. Stupid brat, no respect, Jiraiya grumbled. Here ya go, brat, have at it. Naruto took the chakra paper and began channeling his chakra into it. Tsunade spoke up, Naru-chan, you remember what the paper does with each element? Yup. Shizune said that for wind it cuts the paper, fire if it burns, wrinkling means lightning, soak means water, and dirt is earth, Naruto replied confidently. He closed his eyes and concentrated, channeling his chakra into the paper. Tsunade, Shizune, and Jiraiya watched with anticipation. The paper in Naruto's hand began to react in an extraordinary way. Most shinobi start with one or rarely two elemental affinities. But Naruto, being the son of Tsunade and Minato, showed an impressive result. The paper first got cut into fourths with sharp wind blades. Then the top right piece turned to water, forming a large puddle on the ground. The bottom right piece crumbled into dirt. The top left wrinkled up and emitted an arc of lightning, which shot out and electrocuted Jiraiya, thus causing him to scream in pain as he fell towards the ground, passed out. Everyone seemingly ignore him, and then the bottom left piece of the paper, already cut, was shredded into more pieces. Everyone, except the twitching Jiraiya, was left speechless. Naruto's agape mouth soon turned into a wide grin. Wahoo! He shouted, jumping around. I'm gonna be such a cool shinobi one day. Maybe even become Hokage. Shizune ran over, laughing and cheering with Naruto. Tsunade, however, looked on with a mix of pride and concern. She was thrilled by her son's potential but worried about the path ahead. Jiraiya, recovering from the shock, placed a hand on Tsunade's shoulder. You know he's got some of the best shinobi around teaching him, he said. Tsunade smiled. That's true. Thank you, Jiraiya. We're in this together, Harem, Jiraiya added. His water and lightning affinities are strong. Great potential for combination jutsus. Naruto, hearing this, grew even more excited. When do I get to learn cool ninjutsus? Like Great Tobirama Oji-san's water jutsu or Great Hashirama Jiji-san's wood release. Maybe even the Great Tobirama Oji-san's Hiraishin jutsu. Tsunade sighed, seeing Naruto's excitement. Before we start with ninjutsu, Naru-chan, we need to get you physically strong. That means working on your strength, stamina, endurance, and reaction speed. Keep in mind Great Hashirama Jiji was the only one in our clan to awaken it. Besides, it's just a mutation, it's only ever appeared in him. Naruto jumped with anticipation. Oh, how so, Ka-chan? First, we need to work on your reaction speed and dodging, Tsunade said, clenching her fist. Shizune and Jiraiya gulped, knowing what was coming. Hope you're ready, Naru-chan. Tsunade shouted, leaping into the air. Naruto watched in awe until he realized what was happening. His mother was coming down fast, really fast. Lesson 1. Dodge. Tsunade yelled. Boom! Naruto quickly jumped to the side, covering his face as Tsunade smashed into the ground, creating a 3-foot wide, 10-inch deep crater. Whoa! Ka-chan. That could have killed me. Naruto exclaimed. Don't worry, I won't kill you, Naru-chan. You're my son, Tsunade replied with a loving smile. Then her face turned serious. But this is what being a shinobi is about. It's not just fun and games. Being a shinobi means life or death. I want you to understand that. Naruto gulped, her words hitting hard. I see, he said softly, realizing this was a side of his mother he rarely saw. If you want to be a great shinobi and become Hokage, you need to take this seriously, Tsunade continued. So, what type of shinobi do you want to become, Naruto? Naruto looked at his mother, uncertain. As he started to speak, but before he could, Tsunade threw a senbon at him. It grazed his cheek, embedded in a tree behind him. Naruto touched his cheek, seeing the blood. He looked back at Tsunade in shock. A real shinobi would have aimed between your eyes or at your heart. You would have been dead, Tsunade said sternly. Naruto's eyes widened. Then that means, I can't hesitate, and I must take training seriously. He declared, his face showing a determined look that reminded Tsunade and Jiraiya of Minato. So much so that Minato's and Naruto's face overlapped together. I'll get strong, Ka-chan. I'll get so strong that I won't die. I'll be a great shinobi. I'll take my training seriously. Tsunade nodded, seeing his resolve. Good. If that's your resolve, then let's continue. She jumped into the air again. HHHYYYAAAAAA. Smash. Naruto's training had just begun. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Shizune were ready to train Naruto to the best of their abilities. That way Naruto would be ready for the challenges that he will eventually be forced to face. Backquote. 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 Time skip August 2nd asterisk. The son of Tsunade and the mother of Naruto were currently walking through the town called Porridge Village. Today was Tsunade's birthday and Shizune was back at home cooking. Jiraiya sent a messenger toad the other day stating he was stopping by. As much as the mother of Naruto didn't want the pervert to appear. Again though, another part of her still hoped he kept his word. Even as much of an idiot he can be, Jiraiya has been there for her always. It was always reassuring that he was there for her, which is something Naruto even noted. Ever since Naruto could remember, which was really only a year and a half ago. He can't remember everything, but he remembers the most about those two. Is the fact that Jiraiya, even though his mother always called him pervert, beat him up, and more. He never stopped coming, and he never understood it. With the amount of dodge training his mother has been making him do has been tiring. Let's not begin to count the number of times he broke a bone. He was fortunate to have a healer for a mother, but even still it was tough. The bruises she'd let heal over time as well as small sprains. Anything else, she would heal. It was still painful, and the fact that Jiraiya continuously takes that abuse from her. It's clear that he must be pretty strong, but it's just the type of man he is. Backquote. 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 Flashback day after Naruto's 6th birthday. Naruto and Jiraiya were walking down an unknown trail. Today, Jiraiya requested that Tsunade allow him to go do their own training together. Which Tsunade relented, and Tsunade got to focus the rest of the day picking back up Shizune's own training. So, what is it you wanted to do today, Ero Sennin? The Toad Sage looked down on Naruto, still annoyed by the nickname he uses now. How he came up with it, who knows, but it must have been from Tsunade's side. She was always good at making nicknames and poking jabs at people. Heck, Hiruzen was never safe from them. Well, simple. Today we're going to have a nice long chat about life, Naruto. Naruto noted the tone in Jiraiya's voice, and the look on his face. So, Naruto, recognizing it being similar to how his mother was the other day. It was clear he wanted to talk to him about something important. Before we really begin our conversation, what did you learn from your mother the other day? Well, I got the fact that being shinobi isn't easy. It's not as fun as I was chalking it up to be in the beginning. The young Senju looked in the distance ahead of them down the road. How serious I must take my training. Not only that, but life and death situations are scary too. Ka-chan painted that in for me clearly. I'll admit, not too surprising your mother put you through that so early. Her love for you far outweighs anything else in this world. Hence why she was willing to be so hard on you during your training. Yeah, Ka-chan really is the best Ka-chan, huh? I have to admit, I agree with you there. Jiraiya had his own happy grin on his face when he was talking about Tsunade. Naruto even noted that Jiraiya always seemed happy when talking about her. Though today is different, if we're putting you through this training. This is something your mother could never teach you. There are a handful of things she can't teach you either. That also includes dealing with girls, but that'll be for later. Wait. Something even Ka-chan can't teach me. Jiraiya now had his full attention. That's right, this is just one of them. Jiraiya stopped walking as did Naruto and he extended his fist out towards Naruto. To which Naruto extended his own fist back out to fist bump Jiraiya. What I'm going to do, since you don't have a father in your life. I'm going to teach you how to be a man. That is something that Tsunade could never teach you, no matter how hard she tried. Ka-chan would totally deck you and prove you wrong. The son of Tsunade laughed out, to which Jiraiya could only laugh as well and agree. Agreed. Your mother is nothing to scoff at, that's true. Ahahaha. But at least, I want to be able to help you out the best I can. I see. Well, what is there to know about being a man? Jiraiya smiled as he continued walking down the path to which Naruto began to follow. There's a lot of them, but the first I need you to understand are emotions. Naruto began to walk closer to the Toad Sage, listening intently, the importance of knowing just how strong you're going to become. Whether you're a shinobi or not. Jiraiya looked down to Naruto with a serious look. Emotions. Like I need to express them all or something? Yes and no, actually. Jiraiya then looked ahead on the road. The young Senju simply replied with a, huh. Emotions are one of the strongest tools a shinobi could have at their disposal. They make you strong, but they can also be a hindrance. How so? If you're blinded by rage and anger, you'll want to get revenge and more, you'll attack without thinking. Which could have severe consequences, like hurting an innocent and a bystander. That or killing someone. Fear is also one, you're so scared that you can't fight nor run away. Fear is a normal thing to feel, but you can't let it control you. What I'm trying to get at, kid, is that emotions are fine to feel and express. But let those emotions control, you'll end up hurt, dead, or even worse, someone else dies or gets hurt because of you. Naruto felt that hit home as he looked to Jiraiya. Wait, then why ask me to express them, if they could hurt me or someone else? Because kid, being a mindless person without any emotion isn't living. Being alive is showing your emotions, being happy, loving, caring, healing, and more. Besides, trying to hide your emotions makes you nothing but a coward. Huh, but doesn't it seem safer? No, in fact I think it's cowardice to not show your emotions. We're all human, but there are times when we need to not let our emotions control us. We control them, we do what need to as a shinobi. It may not be easy for us, but it's something you need to do. Being able to find that perfect balance of expressing and controlling your emotions are so important. By hiding your emotions, is nothing but a cop-out. So, promise me kid, you'll never hide your emotions, but nor ever let them control them. I promise. I'll do my best to do so, Uncle Jiraiya. The Toad Sage smiled, looking at Naruto. That's only part of learning to be a man, Naruto, but just keep in mind. It's okay to feel certain emotions and feel them too. We're human, it's normal. Though that leads to the next concept, failure. Naruto grew confused. Wait, but I just promised you I'd never let me emotions control me and find that perfect balance. The Toad Sage chuckled, saying and doing are two different things, kid, but failure is the world's greatest teacher. The only difference is not trying to improve upon failures to do better. So, there can be no improving if there is no failure. Indeed, and no, it's okay to fail, it's also okay to be worried about failure or to fear failure. But you can't let your emotions control you. Correct, you're getting it. Now, when it comes to failure, sometimes it takes something big for us to learn. I'm warning of you this now because I want you to be prepared and not be surprised when something happens. Wait, so something bad could possibly happen? Simple. You fail to protect your teammates, and they're killed. Naruto froze at that. He stared at his father figure. Worse. You fail to protect us, me, Tsunade, and Shizune die. What? No. I won't let that. Jiraiya stuck his hand out to Naruto, stopping him from continuing. Easy kid, it's just a hypothetical, but you also need to accept it. It's reality. The young Senju looked at the ground with a frown on his face, but, I don't want to lose you guys. Jiraiya looked at his surrogate son with a smile on his face, even if it's not official his son. Sniff. Is it so wrong to not want you guys to die? Naruto could feel those tears swelling up in his eyes. No, you're not wrong. But then I don't want to. You're a kid, Naruto. Besides, that's so far into the future, it's only a hypothetical situation. More times than not, we aren't going to put ourselves into a position to be killed. Even if we were worried, your mother and I are Sanins, fear throughout the elemental nations. We aren't going down that easily. Naruto smiled at that and nodded his head, understanding what he meant. Even if he did want to accept that them dying was a possibility. You're a smart kid, right? Don't you know what happens when we grow old? What happens? The Senju heir didn't like the way Jiraiya said that. Like all humans, they die. That's okay. What? I'm not okay with you guys just dying. Kid, there's nothing in this world that can prevent us from dying. Whether it's old age, dying to protect your comrades, or a loved one. That's just how life is, as much as you hate it. It's something you'll have to come to accept. Naruto was quiet, he didn't like the conversation. You're going to have to learn to deal with as kid, sorry, but that's just how life works. Life is neither friend nor foe, just like time. Just how the world works, the sooner you accept that, the easier things will get. But, losing someone, it can't be easy, can it? Naruto looked up to Jiraiya, seeking the guidance on dealing with someone who has passed. Jiraiya closed his eyes and then looked up to the sky. I know exactly what it's like to lose someone, kid. The Toad Sage looked down back at Naruto and had a gentle smile appear on his face. You've heard of him, you remember the Yodime Hokage? Oh yeah, the one who learned and perfected the Hiraishin that great Tobirama Oji-chan created. Correct. He was my student, just as you are. Naruto's eyes widen at this. His mother and Shizune never told him this. He and I were very similar. We grew up without ever knowing our parents. When I took him under my wing, during the Third War, by the way, I also took up 3 AIM war orphaned kids too. I saw the Yodime, Minato, as if he was my own son. The young Senju heir saw happiness and also sadness on his teacher's face. It was clear that he really cared and loved Minato. Naruto frowned, looking at Jiraiya. Sorry for making you think of something sad. The Toad Sanin shook his head. There is no reason for you to apologize, kid. Minato, Jiraiya looked to Naruto with a bright grin on his face, was the son I've never had. His memory lives on within me and his memory makes me happy. He makes me proud, and I'm happy to be alive. The young Senju heir nodded his head. He was glad that Jiraiya had someone so important to him. I guess if you think about it, people in this world who are born are never meant to be alone, huh? The Toad Sage was surprised by his student's word. Yeah, exactly, I totally agree with you 100%. Jiraiya placed a hand on Naruto's head and knelt down to his height. Just so you know, Naruto, Minato may have been like a son to me. Even when he died I was sad, but I remember the good times with him. That's how you get over loss, but hopefully you won't have to experience that any time soon. But I can't promise you'll go your entire life without loss. All I can do is teach you what I know. In the end, it's up to you on how you decide to handle loss. The young Senju heir hugged Jiraiya, in which he returned the hug. I may not look forward to losing you guys. But I'll do what I can to get strong, so that doesn't have to happen anytime soon. I'll make sure to live life happily. Jiraiya felt some tears run down his face, and Naruto couldn't see it. You really are a great kid, you know that. you may not be my own son. But I view you as one, you're more important to me than you realize, Naruto. I really do love you. Naruto hugged Jiraiya tight as he smiled. He was glad that Jiraiya viewed him as that. As I see you as the 2-chan, I've never had 2-chan. Jiraiya was hit hard by the words that came from Naruto's voice. Jiraiya gently broke the hug to see Naruto with his own smile on his face. That means a lot coming from ya kid, but anyways, does that mean you're going to stop calling me Ero Sennin? Naruto quickly pulled away and crossed his arms over his chest and shouted, "Nope. Only once you stop being a pervert. Never. Then you'll stay as Ero Sennin." Jiraiya could only mentally laugh. The name was beginning to rub off on him. Come on. Let's go get some ramen. Jiraiya gestured for Naruto to follow him. In which Naruto jumped into the air happy, "Yahoo! Let's go." Backquote. 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 End of flashback. The mother and son duo were currently walking in the village with blue popsicles in their hands. Ever since Naruto had that serious talk with Jiraiya, he also treated Naruto to popsicles. Naruto honestly hated the flavor of blueberry as a popsicle. It wasn't his favorite flavor, but ever since Jiraiya took off for his spy network he enjoyed getting it. It reminded Naruto of him. Oh, and they have to be the ones that can break apart into two to share it with one other person. Before the two realized it, they finished their popsicles and threw out the sticks. However, the young Senju heir saw a shiny coin on the ground. Ka-chan, look. He reached down and picked up the coin. I found a Ryo on the ground. Look at that, Naru-chan, it's your lucky day. Once the mother of Naruto said that, she saw where they were standing at. They were right by a casino, specifically the Luki Porridge Casino. Hey Naru-chan. How lucky are you feeling? Her son looked at the casino and frowned. Doesn't Tsunade scold you every time you try to go to a casino? Come on Naru-chan. It's been ages since I've last been at one. Besides, I'm not playing, you are. Tsunade thought this was a way she could get her gambling fix on. Okay, I'll try it. Naruto ran inside, to which Tsunade joined. I'll make sure he learns the hard way when it comes to gambling. The Senju luck is horrendous. The two went in as Naruto went over to some games, but Tsunade guided him to slots. It would be easier if he did slots since he was young. Naruto tried to get up on the stool, and struggled until Tsunade picked him up and plopped him on the seat. Tsunade took the Ryo and put it in, and directed Naruto to pull the level. The wheels spun until the first one began to slow down. Tsunade was unsurprised when she saw the first 7 appear. Then the second 7 appear as the first 2 wheels stopped spinning. Now then the Senju luck kicks in. Just then the slug princess was cut from her thoughts as she heard ringing from the slot machine. Before she knew it, Naruto had a pile of chips in his lap as he laughed. Look, Ka-chan. I won. Why you did. You won. Tsunade cheered out. Of course many of the males inside looked to Tsunade and Naruto. Of course, Tsunade was hanged into a woman with black hair and brown eyes. Though that didn't the men from wishing they were in Naruto's place right now. Tsunade was currently smothering Naruto in her ample bosom. With the chips they won, they were sitting at over 5 million chops in Ryo. Tsunade looked over to see a poker game as a star shined in her eyes. Hey Naru-chan, why don't we play another game, this time a game that your Ka-chan is great at? Sure, let's go. Can we get ramen with the winnings we get? Of course, of course. As long as Shizune doesn't find out, right? Why not? Because this will unnecessarily bother Shizune, and she's busy cooking dinner. Oh okay. My lips are sealed. Naruto was smart in a lot of other sense like life and battling. Though when it came to his family, he was gullible to high hell. Mother and son sat down at the table with other men and the dealer there. Tsunade smirked as she said, "All right, boys. Let's play." The dealer began to give out cards and more as Suand went to look at them. Naruto instead grabbed them. Suand went to see what they were until she noticed something. There was everyone around them watching on what would happen. "Come on, Naruto. My little lucky charm. I'm gonna milk this luck until it's run dry. Let's make this interesting. Why don't we go all in?" A gentleman at the table suggested. Everyone looked around, and the dealer looked at the man rather shocked. Though, the two were sitting on a large amount of chips. Worth little over 5 million, all in. The others said as they pushed their chips into the middle. Suan didn't like it, but this was her thing. She loved the high. She loved the gambling of money. Tsunade smirked as she pushed all the chips in. "Sure, we'll both go all in." Just then a voice shouted from the front of the casino, "Yui-sensei, just what in the hell are you doing?" Everyone froze to look over to the front. Everyone saw a blonde-haired woman with green eyes come walking over. She was pissed. Yui, being Tsunade's cover name, saw Shizune come walking in. Tsunade gulped as she set Naruto down in her seat. "Naru-chan, don't do anything until I get back." Yui went walking over to the woman and nervously smiled at the angry older sister. "Ah ha ha, hello Amara. What are you doing here?" Yui looked to Amara with a scared look on her face. Amara looked to Yui with a disapproving look on her face. "Of all the times, sensei, you decide on your birthday to go gambling with Naruto. Oh, come on, Amara. I mean, we just found a Ryo on the ground. We did one slot game. Honest, Naru-chan hit the jackpot first go. I don't care. He won a little over 5 million Ryo on the slots in chips. So what, he won over? Wait, what?" Yui looked to Amara, wide-eyed. "Why yeah, now we're betting at the poker game for over 25 million Ryo here. We already betted and we can't. Hit me, dealer. I wanna trade these cards out," came the voice of Tsunade's one and only child. Yui and Amara turned their heads wide-eyed to see Naruto playing the game. "No. Naru-chan." Tsunade came running over towards Naruto, wanting to stop him from going any further. However, it was too late. The dealer gave Naruto the new cards. Tsunade fell to the ground in sadness, awaiting to hear the cards the other gentlemen had. They were playing against 4 other men in the house of the casino. Tsunade looked up and saw one man say, "3 of a kind. 3 of a kind. Beat that. Damn, I only got a pair. Full house." The dealer smiled. "Now, young one, what do you have?" Suan slowly stood up with a sad and dejected look on her face. She looked over to her son. "I have no idea what any of these means. I know I got a king and a queen, but this guy looks weird." Naruto placed the cards down, scratching his head. He looked up to his mother. "Did I do something wrong, Ka-chan?" The dealer's eyes widened along with all the men at the table. Their mouths slammed onto the table as Suan looked at Naruto. The dealer placed his hand on his forehead. "Damn it, I think I cucked up somewhere. The owner is going to have my head for this." "Oh Kami. Naru-chan. You won." Tsunade ran over as she scooped her baby boy up into the air. "You did it, you won the round." The son of Tsunade smiled. "Really? I did. How did I win?" The dealer sighed. The fact the kid had no idea how to play poker. Beat men who are experienced in himself. The thing is, kid, you just got yourself a straight royal flush. A king, queen, jack, 10 and a ace, all of the same suit. The odds of that are 0.000154% or 649,739 to 1. I don't get it, but we won. Naruto cheered as the men at the table only held their heads. It seems the luck of the gods shined down on this kid. Quickly, Yui and Amara gathered their winnings and cashed out the casino, causing the owner to cry out in tears. As the Senju family won a total of over 25 million ryo from the casino. Backquote. 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 Later Senju house. Tsunade sensei, I can't believe you did this. Shizune sat in a chair across from Tsunade as she chewed her out. How could you use Naruto to go gambling? You know how bad that habit of yours is. Don't even start it on the drinking. Tsunade could only sit there in silence as Shizune continued to rant for another 30 minutes while dinner was finishing up. Apparently, Shizune sent a shadow clone to go find her and Naruto. Guess where that shadow clone found the two gamblers were? Honestly, I can't believe you. We're sending that money back to Hokage-sama and he can put it into Naruto's account. What? I don't get to spend. You mean gamble? Shizune shot back to the slug princess who only hung her head in defeat. That or buy sake, which I forbid you from even drinking sake until Naruto gets older. I don't want that bad habit to get picked up by him. I'm the one supposed to be the adult here. Tsunade curled up on the bed with a sad look on her face. There also seemed to be almost tears wanting to roll down her face. Naruto was confused. You think you were a bit too hard on Ka-chan, Nei-chan? No, absolutely not. Shizune immediately fired back, getting her little brother to look at her scared. I already deal with one person who likes to drink herself silly and gamble like a fool. Hell, if I let her horrible tendencies corrupt you. It's just like with Jiraiya-sama and his stupid perversion. Oi, I take offense to that. A voice came from the door as Jiraiya came walking into the house. Your hobby is still disgusting. Shizune glared to him as she went into the kitchen. The toad sage blinked his eyes shocked. Shizune can be fiery sometimes, but this was new. Nei-chan got mad after Ka-chan took me to go gambling. Naruto pointed to his mother who was currently crying on the sofa. Jiraiya only chuckled, placing his hands on hips. Some things never change, Harem. How much did ya lose this time? Oh, anyways, happy birthday, Harem. She didn't win anything. Shizune called out from the kitchen as she came walking in. She placed ramen on the table. When she went gambling within Naruto won their first pot of a little over 5 million ryo, then Tsunade tried to get more. By entering in a poker game, when she walked away, she left Naruto alone. Then Naruto continued to play and won the round of poker. Oh, dang kid, must have been lucky this go around. The toad sage chuckled. So, what did you guys get out of it? Over 25 million ryo. Jiraiya's eyes widened. He quickly cleaned his ear. Wait a minute. I think I heard you wrong. How much again? Over 25 million ryo. I can't spend it on anything. Tsunade cried out in sorrow as she pushed her face into the pillow. Whoa. Holy crap, kid. You really got the reverse of Tsunade's lucky. Ahahaha. I got a toilet flush. Question mark. Royal flush Naruto. Royal flush. Oh, and straight by the way. Wait striaght. Oh Kami. Backquote. 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 Hidden Leaf Village. Hiruzen was sitting at his desk smoking his pipe as he was approving paperwork. He let a long sigh out as he looked to the wall of previous Hokages. Damn you, Minato-kun, leaving me this job once again. And this stupid paperwork. Hiruzen finally signatured and stamped the last in his pile. He leaned back and smiled, looking at the work he's done. Just then a puff of smoke appeared before him. Oh, Katsuyu Dono, it's great to see you again. Katsuyu, a clone of Tsunade's slug summoning, replied warmly, Hokage-sama, it's great to see you again. I bring money that young Naruto made. Hiruzen thought that was cute, Oh, I see how, I can put the money into his account. Did Tsunade already begin teaching him how to heal? No, young Naruto is unable to heal yet. Actually, Naruto won this at a casino. What? Hiruzen facepalmed as he let a long dragged out sigh. Oh Kami, just what is that woman teaching him? Young Naruto won this in a round of poker. He first 5 million won Ryo in chips, but before he could cash them out, Tsunade-sama entered into a poker game. Oh, Kami no. Geez, so how much is remaining? They didn't lose money. Actually, young Naruto won the round. He won over 25 million Ryo. Katsuyu then spat out the scroll holding the money. Over 25 million. Hiruzen dropped his pipe from his mouth as he sat up straight in his chair. Hiruzen again let an even longer sigh out than before. Just what the hell is she teaching that boy? Backquote. 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 Time skip 6 months later, October 10th, asterisk Naruto age, 7. Smash. Naruto dodged another rock from his mother who threw it at him. Naruto let out a few huffs and puff looking. Excellent Naru-chan. You're improving on your reaction time, speed, and endurance too. You're progressing quickly. Not to mention his master of the tree and water walking within a day. Shizune added as she placed a hand on her hip. Naruto might soon be able to start performing your superhuman strength Tsunade-sensei. Really? Awesome. I'm really gonna be strong shinobi like Yuka-chan. Think I'll be able to learn healing as well. I don't see why not. You got the natural chakra control required to learn it. The slug princess smiled proudly of her son. So, since it's your birthday, I figured we could try to teach you your first real elemental ninjutsu. Really? Great. Which one is it going to be? Simple brat. Water bullet jutsu. Naruto turned around and smiled. Arrow Senin. Jiraiya fell flat first into the ground and he grumbled, geez, even when I'm teaching you a cool ninjutsu you're still gonna call me that. You going to stop being a pervert? Never. Same here. The two just laughed as Tsunade and Shizune could only giggle watching the two. If I didn't know any better, I'd dare say that they're almost father and, oh, son. Tsunade opened her eyes a bit as she looked towards her son and teammate. Tsunade's face changed from a happy and laughing look, to one of curiosity. Father? Huh, never could have imagined that Jiraiya would make a good father. That word now hit hard for Tsunade. Normally father immediately made her think of Minato. The bastard who put a 9-tailed demon fox into her son, just thinking about him makes her want to kill him. Even though he's already dead. But in this instance, Tsunade looked at the two, and when she looked at Jiraiya, she heard, saw, and almost even spoke the word, father to her. Shizune, who finished up her giggling, looked towards her sensei with her own smile. Until she stopped her own giggle. Who is Tsunade-sensei staring at? Oh. Shizune looked towards the two boys as they laughed together. The apprentice of Tsunade looked back towards her sensei as she saw it. If you looked ever so closely, there was a faint blush on Tsunade's face. Oh. Oh my Kami. Is sensei blushing? Shizune looked at Tsunade in awe, but quickly looked away as a evil smirk appeared on her face. Then stars formed in her eyes as she rubbed her hands together mischievously. Maybe, just maybe, there was a place for Jiraiya, somewhere in Tsunade's heart. Maybe she or Naruto, no, her and Naruto could bring them together. Backquote. 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 Later. Now try it again. Jiraiya instructed. Got it. Naruto needed the chakra in his stomach and went through the appropriate hand seals. Naruto leaned his head back and moved forward, opening his mouth, water style, water bomb jutsu. Naruto fired off the jutsu, but a small ball of water shot out of his mouth. which hit into a tree scattering the water across it. Ahahaha, that was so funny. Jiraiya fell to the ground laughing and pointing at Naruto. Oi, stupid old man. That was my first try. Meanie. Naruto shouted angrily as his father-like figure laughed at his pathetic attempt at the jutsu. Jiraiya laughed as he rolled on the ground as Naruto looked at him aggravated. Stop laughing, old man. Naruto decided to try it again. Fine, I'll do it even better. Naruto went through the hand seals again and began to knead chakra into his stomach once again. This time, he let it build up. Once it built up, he felt it rush up to his mouth and he fired it, water style, water bomb jutsu. Just then Jiraiya stopped laughing as he stood up, but suddenly he saw a large ball shape of water aimed straight at him. Oh Kami. Jiraiya ducked, and only thanks to his experience and levels of strength, quickly got out of the way of Naruto's attack. Naruto watched as he missed, but the results of destruction more made up for it. The prone toad sage stood back up looking behind him. He saw that trees that weren't directly in the way had large gaping holes in the side. Other trees had their trunks smashed in and the top fell over to the ground. It seemed like Naruto's water jutsu really packed a punch. Holy! Jiraiya stood up and began to walk over to Naruto's damage from his jutsu. Jiraiya began to inspect the jutsu Naruto just fired off. He placed his hand on the trunk, and quickly he retracted his hand. Ow! Hot! Then that stopped Jiraiya. Holy shit! Wait, hot, that can't be possible, he has no fire affinity. How did he get the water this hot? Jiraiya turned to Naruto. Hey kid, do you know any fire jutsus by chance? Naruto meanwhile was cheering and marching around in a circle on how well he did the jutsu. Naruto stopped, tilted his head confused. No, nothing that I can recall from. I mean, Nei-chan taught me a simple fire jutsu just to start a fire. I remember her stating to need just a small of hot chakra in my throat. But that's about it. Can't you do that? I can. Anyone could learn a simple small jutsu like that for basic survival. Jiraiya placed a hand on his chin. I wonder, did the kid accidentally channel a small bit of fire chakra into his water bomb jutsu? It's possible he let his emotions get to him on that. I wonder, could he have inadvertently created a new water jutsu? Well, more a variant, not a completely new thing. Well anyways, focus on that jutsu to improve it. Focus on the hand seals, make them quicker, learn to knead that chakra fast in your stomach. The more you practice and familiarize yourself with that jutsu, I'll be able to perform it quicker, faster, while keeping it strong. Exactly. That's my boy. Jiraiya smacked his thigh. He had a real knack for ninjutsu. Naruto might be the most promising student he has trained yet. Backquote. 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 2 weeks later. Smash. Naruto had his fist extended outwards as he then shouted, "Ah Kami, that hurt." Naruto held his right arm in his left hand. Geez ah. That hurts. Shizune came running up to Naruto. She began to perform medical ninjutsu on Naruto. I see, hairline fracture. Nothing a bit of medical ninjutsu can't fix. Thanks Nei-chan. Don't sweat it Ototo. Naru-chan, you didn't put enough chakra into that punch. It's not the power you're struggling on, the power output is just fine. It's also important of reinforcing your hand to handle the impact. Don't worry, you're progressing quicker in my superhuman strength than I did. Tsunade placed a hand on her hip smirking. More practice will do, and then you'll be able to use a fraction of my strength. Once his hand was healed, Naruto threw his fist into the air. Yeah. Then I'll get better at it and get stronger. I can't wait for more Ka-chan. This stuff is pretty easy for me to get down. Well, why don't we end it here Naru-chan? Let's go whip up some dinner and call it a day. Tsunade decided to go in and shower and change. You go on ahead, I think I'm gonna go take a bit of walk. Just be careful and don't go too far, stay on the paths that you and Jiraiya go on. Shizune waved to him as Naruto went to go take his walk. Naruto on his walk soon found himself by a small lake that was there. He liked the place because he and Jiraiya came here a lot either go swimming, train, or even fish. Naruto learned to really enjoy in his free time was to fish. Though one of another Jiraiya's favorites was to also peep on girls in their swimwear. Naruto smiled as he placed his hands on his hip looking out onto the water. Naruto took out a scroll and unsealed a fishing rod. He stomped his foot on the ground which made a stump of earth come up to meet him. He sat down and kicked the ground again, which revealed some worms he could use as bait. Naruto took a worm, put it on the hook of his rod and cast it out onto the water. Naruto placed his rod on the ground in between some rocks he kicked up to prevent it from falling over and being pulled in. Naruto could sense someone watching him, they're sneaky and good at it. But Naruto didn't want to give himself away either, showing he was being trained. Thankfully the person hit the brush of the bush. To which Naruto looked over to see who the person was. Hey, who's there? Naruto waited for a moment until he saw someone slowly walking out of the brush and trees. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw the girl walking out. Naruto personally noted her looks. She had silver white hair and deep red eyes. She also had back-length silver hair that features a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends, while the rest is let down which ends in twin braids. Her outfit was a black shirt with golden caramel accents at the edges of the shirt and spread horizontally near the bottom, with two light golden trims going down the shirt, and the shirt splits slightly above her stomach, exposing her midriff. Around her neck and shoulders is a long, cyan scarf made from light material that reaches her hips. Her jeans are blue, with a white outline at the top. Who are you? Naruto asked curiously. He relaxed, for some reason. Naruto could tell that she wasn't a threat to him. If anything, he could sense curiosity coming off of the girl. Which made Naruto note something. He felt like he always knew how his family felt all the time. Jiraiya was always happy, goofy, and glad to be with him. His mother was always upbeat, anxious sometimes, and happy when he is near. His big sister Shizune was always ready to go and do something. Also, she had a drive to teach and learn as well, at least that's what he could sense about them. That's because he is always around them 24/7, but recent things have changed as of lately. He's been able to tell how other people felt, their intent towards him. It was clear this girl didn't have any ill will towards him. She was just curious. I didn't mean to watch or startle you. The girl looked at him with a rather curious and unsure look on her face. She smiled as she walked up to Naruto. I saw you do those cool things with the ground and that scroll. Ah crap. She saw me do all that. I didn't even sense her before. Naruto mentally panicked a bit, but soon relaxed. Again, she wasn't a threat to him currently. Oh, don't worry about it. Ah yeah, those things. I don't know if you've heard, but my Ka-chan and Ne-chan have been the recent healers around here. Helping and healing people who need it. Oh, the brunette woman and blonde woman. Yes, I remember seeing them around. You must be the blonde woman's son. Oh no, that's my Ne-chan, well not by blood. But actually the brunette woman is my Ka-chan. Oh I see, I was curious on learning to heal. Naruto furrowed his brows unsure on what he should do. He rubbed the back of his head. I mean, healing is something I don't even know how to do. Ka-chan says I need to get my chakra control up more to be able to do that. Though Ne-chan taught me how to find certain herbs for healing. Naruto stood up and gestured her to follow him, Follow me, I've actually found those healing herbs that my Ne-chan taught me about. I can show you how to use them to heal someone. The girl trotted up to him as the two headed back into the forest. The name is Naruto, what's yours? I'm Graphia, nice to meet you. Yeah, same here, though I am curious, why do you need to learn how to heal someone? I'll admit learning to heal like your Ka-chan and Ne-chan was my original goal. Graphia placed a finger on her lip, but since it's related to healing with chakra, I can't do any of that. So, you are showing me herbs to look for also helps. Yeah, I can even show you how to properly extract the healing properties from the herbs too. Naruto began to look around for the specific herb along with Graphia. Naruto also noted that Graphia was a few inches taller than he was. He was only 4 feet 2 or so in height. He's taller than most boys his age by 2 inches. She was at least 4 feet 10, she had to be a few years older than he was. Just then Naruto spotted the herb. Here it is, yarrow, they're great for healing wounds and cuts that someone would suffer. You can also use, if you can find, honey is also great for a natural antibiotic to prevent infections. Then, to help ease pain, peppermint plants like this, or even rosemary if you know where it is, are natural painkillers that can help with minor aches and pains. Wow, your Ne-chan must be really smart. She is. She helped me memorize more of the common plants in the land of fire. That way, if you're on the lookout, you find them, you can help heal and save someone's life with this knowledge. Then it clicked for Naruto. Did someone you know get hurt? Graphia had to admit that Naruto was pretty smart, but she had to give him credit. She could tell that he was at least 2 or 3 years younger than he was. Graphia only nodded her head. Someone important to me tends to get into trouble for the things he does. He's a mercenary, so he finds himself in battles with people who can be shinobi sometimes. I see. Why does he do this mercenary type of work? He tells me sometimes bad people need to be killed, at least that's what he tells me. He says he only goes after people who deserve it. Graphia lied to Naruto, not wanting him to think that he was helping someone who helps a murderer. Though Naruto could tell, he could sense her chakra. That was the one thing that stuck out to him the most. Her chakra fluctuated when she spoke. It was a lie, but Naruto didn't decide to linger on that. Nor was he going to ask why she lied. I get it, I won't pry either, but I'm glad we were able to meet. Naruto stood up after picking up some of the yarrow and handed it to her. As well as the peppermint plant too. Honey you'll have to buy or find at a beehive, which good luck on that. Won't be easy, but for the peppermint and yarrow all you need to do is grind them in a bowl. You can use any sort of round item to grind them up to a powder. Or to the best of your abilities for your first time. Thanks, I appreciate the help Naruto. You've been a great help. Graphia finished with an appreciative look on her face. Of course, no worries, if you're free. We could hang out a bit too. Sure, I'd like that. This was the first time that Graphia, ever since she met Zabuza, had made a friend. This was the first time Naruto had made a friend. Backquote. 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 Time skip couple weeks later. Naruto was in his swim trunks as he slid on the water of the lake. Naruto was currently doing some training with Graphia, a recent friend he just made a couple weeks ago. She ended up being a lot of fun to be around, even though she tends to hold a good amount of her emotions back. But over time as they hung out, she began to open up more and more to him. Graphia was talking about wanting to be able to heal like how his mother and sister did. Naruto decided to take it upon himself, since they were friends, to give her some tips of training her to use her chakra. Which took a while. She had to learn the leaf chakra control exercise. which it took her a few hours to get, unlike how it took only a half an hour or so for Naruto. After a bit more practice, she got to begin working on tree walking, which absolutely stunned Graphia because Zabuza usually keeps her behind. He hadn't really begun to train her either, she was still new to all this. So, her first real training and mentor was Naruto, and so far he's been doing a really great job. Naruto was already on the water waiting for Graphia to appear. Soon before he knew it, Graphia came walking through the trees. Of course, Naruto did inform her that they would practice water walking. So he said to bring a pair of swimwear. Naruto stopped what he was doing as he saw Graphia come walking into view for him. For Naruto, his world stopped as he looked at Graphia. Now don't get him wrong, he fully understands that his mother, Tsunade, is one of the prettiest women to ever exist in the elemental nations. It was apparent, and it also enhanced her looks with how young she looked, along with her body. No thanks to Jiraiya, because men can be pigs. But Naruto hasn't ever met a girl around his age, nor has he gotten this close to a girl before either. This is the first time he's gotten close to anyone, especially someone of the opposite. Oh, and yes, his big sister did give him the talk, which he wishes he could still forget. Of course, though, if he's going to be a medical nin just like his mother, he needs to know the fully body anatomy of a female and male. Graphia had her hair up into a messy bun while she had on a one-piece swimsuit. It wasn't extravagant or anything, but Naruto did definitely have to admit. When he first met Graphia, she was very pretty in his eyes. So, knowing how she is already makes him a little nervous, and tries not to let it control him. But he had to admit that seeing a friend of his, that he might have a crush on, in a swimsuit, as well as with Jiraiya's constant perverseness, didn't help either. Naruto. Yeah, you're sinking. Naruto looks down to see himself sinking into the water. Ops. Naruto sent some chakra to his hands as he climbed out of the water. Then sent the proper chakra to his feet to stand. Alright, well, let's get to it. I still have to consciously think when I send chakra to my feet to stand. So, this one is different from tree walking. You have to constantly maneuver your chakra to match the flow of the water. Unlike the tree, how it's solid and you needed a certain amount of chakra. This time, you need to constantly try to keep up with the flow of the water with your chakra. That way you don't sink nor shoot yourself off of the water. I see. As much as I struggled with tree walking, this one might be hard too. I mean, you got it down in 3 days, that's still good with no real training beforehand. Naruto added as he walked over to Graphia, extending his hand out. Come on, take my hand. Nei-chan showed me this way on how much chakra to use and guide it. Backquote. 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 With Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune, he has gotten the hang of the chakra exercises really quick. Tsunade sat on the couch as she took a sip of sake. Not only that, but he can manipulate earth, water, and lighting chakra natures like it's nothing. I can't begin to tell you the reason why, sensei. Shizune looked towards her sensei as she could only nod her head in agreement. He's only going to get stronger, Harem. It's only a matter of time before we have to tell him. Which is why I believe by his 10th birthday. I think we should tell him not only his heritage but also his burden. Jiraiya took a sip of sake he was poured by Shizune. TCH, you know how I feel about Minato, Jiraiya. Not only that, but you want to tell him that we, wasn't planned. Sorry, Tsunade, if you won't tell him. I will. It's something I can't hide from him. If I did that, I feel like I'd be betraying him by that. I promised Minato I'd look after him, and I plan on doing that. Jiraiya said wisely, to which as much as Shizune didn't like it either. She had to admit herself that he made a lot of sense. Shizune knew that Tsunade was going to have some sort of rebuttal in some way. Just then Shizune saw something on Tsunade's face. Tsunade was looking at Jiraiya, not intently, and the look didn't match the situation at hand. It was as if Tsunade was trusting Jiraiya. She had that look, the look of that she trusted his judgment. If that's what you think is good for Naruto, then I'll tell him about me and Minato. As well as what happened, if you think it could make things worse. Then I trust you on your judgment. Jiraiya was surprised when his teammate said that. Wait, really? I thought you would fight me on something like this, like you said. Your feelings on Minato and on what he did to Naruto. Don't get me wrong, I haven't forgiven Minato for that. The slug princess closed her eyes and let a sigh out as she looked away from Jiraiya. I trust your judgment on this, you're important to Naruto. You're looking out for what's best for him, and I can't fault you for that. Shizune moved herself to get a closer look to Tsunade. Not only that, but Tsunade had a blush on her face, but Shizune been watching Tsunade. She hasn't taken a single sip of her sake just yet either. Just then Tsunade then took her sip and went back to facing Jiraiya. Jiraiya smiled and laughed as he closed his eyes. Then he reopened them looking at his crushed teammate. I must admit, I think Naruto has really changed you, Harem. I barely even recognize you, that self-entitled, snarky, woman I knew as Tsunade. Has changed. Naruto being in your life has done wonders for you, hasn't he? Shizune giggled, agreeing with Jiraiya. I have to admit, Naruto has made huge impact on you, sensei. Tsunade smirked, thinking back to her son. He really has. Maybe it was for the best, thanks Jiraiya. You can be cool, when you want to be. That's the sake talking, not me. Sure Harem, sure. Jiraiya took that little W he just got from Tsunade. Tsunade was almost back to her normal self before Naoki and Dan died. It was the woman that Jiraiya fell in love for. Which reminds me, Harem, where is said son? Oh, he said he was fishing over by the spot where you two go. Well, I think it's been long enough, why don't we go check up on him? The two girls nodded their heads in agreement as they got up to go find Naruto. Backquote. 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 With Naruto and Grafia. Then my funny uncle tried to give me one of those trashy books that Jiraiya of the Sannin makes. Ka-chan was livid when she found out my uncle gave me that book. I found out it was an accident, he meant to give me a different book. Though, Ka-chan was still pissed at him nonetheless. Naruto chuckled as he sat by the fire made as he cooked the caught fist on it. So, what did she do? Grafia wanted to know what his mother did. Easy. She pummeled him into the ground. I know he tried to go with me and Nei-chan to get ramen, but she wouldn't let him. All I know is I didn't see him for the next month or so. Your uncle seems funny, and your Ka-chan sounds nice. Your Nei-chan too. Grafia pulled her legs up to her chest as Naruto handed her fish, thanks. Course. And yeah, they are pretty cool. Which reminds me, you never talk about yours, you only ever want to hear about mine. Naruto looked to her with a rather concerned look on her face. During this entire time, they spent getting to know one another. He learned little about her. Now that he thought of it, he knew very little about her. It's a long story about my Ka-chan and Tu-chan. I know, let's start over how we should have. You know me, I'm Naruto. I like my family a lot and who I care about. I like ramen, and I hope to be a strong shinobi one day. That way I can protect the people I care about. Don't have many dislikes, but the pervy books that Jiraiya makes. I can get behind that. As to what I like, I guess it'd be the person I'm with now. His name is Zabuza. He used to be a shinobi from the Hidden Mist. Graphia was hoping this wasn't too much on Naruto by telling him this. Wait, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Yep, the one. Isn't he a missing nin? Yeah, but he took me in after trying to assassinate the Yodime Mizukage. I see, but why? Well, Yagura the Yodime Mizukage started a bloodline purge war. Graphia looked down with her face full of sadness. My full name is Graphia Yuki, I'm a part of the Yuki clan. Members who posses a Kekai Genkai to use the ice release. I see, so that's how you lost your parents. Actually, my Ka-chan saved my life before she was killed by my Tu-chan. When he found out I could use a Kekai Genkai, he attacked me and my mother. He killed her for hiding said secret. He went to kill me. I see, I'm sorry to hear that. Must be hard to know your Tu-chan did that to your mother. He's dead now. Who killed him? Naruto wasn't ready for her response. I did. I see. When he killed Ka-chan I got so mad and upset, my Kekai Genkai awakened. I formed ice, impaled him through the chest. Graphia's eyes gazed into the fire in front of them. Since then I've been on my own, until not too long ago. Zabuza-sama found me, took me and promised to train me once I became stronger. So, that's why you wanted me to train you so bad. So, I could be useful to Zabuza-sama. So, you feel like you owe him. I do. His dream is my dream, I live for Zabuza-sama's sake. But of course, being with you showed me something else. I did, yes, just being with you with the time we have been together. Showed me that there's more to just training to get stronger for his sake. But training to get stronger to protect him, and that I can confidently say. I see him as family, which made me learn something. If you want to become truly strong, you have to have someone you want to protect, only until then can you truly become strong. Really? I helped you figure that out? Naruto looked to her shocked by that. Yes you did, I believe that's why my growth quickened so quick. When he tried to train me I struggled, but thanks to you, I've gotten stronger, for that I can't thank you enough. Graphia stood up and walked over closer to Naruto and sat next to him, so, thank you for that. Graphia could help herself but enjoy being with him. Well, I'm glad, but even still you seem dead set on helping him achieve his goal. Whatever that may be. I do. He seems me as a possible tool, but you showed me something else. Graphia turned to Naruto smiling. You showed me that I can be something more than just his too. I can be his daughter, I can the one who looks after him. Stop him from doing stupid things, because honestly, he does stupid things sometimes. He can be reckless too since he has no one watching out for him. Naruto chuckled as he shook his head. Honestly, Nei-chan makes sure Ka-chan doesn't do anything crazy nor stupid. So, I get what you mean by that. But just don't look at yourself as a tool. That rubs me the wrong way. I know, but if you're going to be a shinobi, aren't you going to be a tool for your village? I mean. I know what you mean Naruto. Don't worry, I'm still going to express myself more too. Graphia couldn't help it. Her smile that was on her face still stuck to her face. It was all thanks to Naruto. Originally she kept a very blank face, but just being with him. The training, talking, and more that they've done together. He helped her find her emotions and brought them to light, otherwise she could have hidden them. For who knows how long. I guess, it counts for being a bit older and smarter, huh? Don't count yourself so short, Naruto. You're far too smart for your age, which I can see why though. You have a good family, make sure you protect them. As for today, will be my last day, I asked Zabuza-sama to spend the day here before leaving. Graphia stood up as Naruto followed suit. It is late, I should begin making my way back to him. Graphia turned to Naruto as she placed a hand on his shoulder. Thank you for everything, Naruto. May I paths cross again one day. Naruto frowned knowing she had to leave. Granted, they only really got to know one another better today. She still enjoyed the time they spent together, so he couldn't complain because she was happy. Yeah, I'm glad we became friends, and I hope we see one another again one day. Grafia pulled Naruto in for a hug, to which he hugged her back. Grafia turned to leave, but stopped as she turned back around to Naruto. Need some. The son of Naruto was cut off when Grafia placed her lips on his cheek. Then took off into the trees as she left her first ever friend back by the fire. Naruto looked towards the direction she left with a smile on his face. The kiss was new, unsure what it meant, but he thought it was nice. Well, brat. You sure move fast. Naruto scared jumped as he turned to recognize the voice. Naruto saw Jiraiya and Naruto swallowed as he blushed a bit. He saw his mother and Shizune come from the brush as well. How much of that did you see? Shizune giggled as she said, oh, just the part where she hugged you. When she went to leave, stopped to turn back to you. To only kiss you on the cheek. Jiraiya smirked as he looked to Naruto. She's a cutie alright, wonder how she'll grow in the next 10 or so years. Jiraiya placed his hand on his chin. If this kid can work fast, he'll end up being great for research. Tsunade on the other hand was not happy as she walked up crossing both arms across her chest. Naruto Senju Namikaze Uzumaki. You have some explaining to do. Crap, there's the full family name. Wait, Namikaze. Naruto's eyes widen. Shizune and Jiraiya looked to Tsunade, to which she flinched realizing what she said herself, ops. Naruto looked to his mother with his own arms crossed over his chest. Why don't we do this, Ka-chan? Don't get angry with me making a friend. I won't get angry you not telling me who my father was. Damn it. I need a drink. Tsunade grumbled as she began to walk back towards the house.